As soon as then you're aware of the fact that you have done it, and are able to be honest about it and hold your hand up, I think that's cool.
Well, no.
So
who's the?
Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch, and I'm going to hijack the start of this episode to give a huge, massive, heart-warmed, welcomed thank you to all the people who will do 35 miles an hour in a 60 and 35 miles an hour in a 20. Fuck you. Anyway, on this episode, it's honestly, Pete, it's every day. Every day.
Mate, what an episode to start it with when the people on this show are called the Mindful Surfer Podcast. And Mitch is mindful of just anger.
That's why it's relevant, though, because I am being mindful of your annoyance of everything. Every day, Pete, honestly, every day I am stuck behind this person in a different car. Every day. It's always when you're in a hurry. It kills me. But as Pete
brilliant.
said,
but it's another one from the Devon trip, and we should shout out Tiki, who were the sponsors of the Devon trip. And if you want anything from Tiki, you can use the discount code
UK Surf Pod. I'm saying it, not you, Peter. UK Surf Pod. Right. So let's get straight into this episode. Chat to Will and Liam. Here we go.
Well, yeah. So, are we ready?
Did you go through, Mike?
Yeah,
on the chin and all that?
Yeah.
They know.
On the chin, all good.
We should be good.
They should be all right.
Right.
So we normally go introduce yourself, but we should actually welcome back because you've been here before. I know I've got a different guy this side, but
hello.
Hello, welcome Mitch. Back to William.
Oh,
Will and Liam from the Mindful Surfer.
It's very impressive that.
It's a pleasure to be back. We're not on the beach this time.
No, we're not on the beach. And as I said to you, you're looking a lot different to last time I've seen you. Last time I saw you, you were a bit. You looked a bit more like me. Now you're all like slim down, trim, nice lined up beard, everything. The Doc Martens going on.
Actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very groomed.
I did have a haircut. I did have a haircut today, but so I just for you guys actually.
Was it?
Yeah, I was trying to meeting Mitch for the first time.
Yeah.
I want to make an impression, especially
Should've
for the surfing celebrities coming to Sydney.
Should have made more effort.
I see. The thing is with the beard, I've only just grown a beard as well. I don't know the etiquette yet, but I feel like I don't want to have too straight a line down here to start to look like Rylan. It's too clinical.
Like overly groomed.
Yeah, too groomed.
Yeah. I to and fro with the beard. It gets itchy. Yeah. So I end up cutting it off.
It's a winter one for me. I mean, I'm holding on to the last vestiges of youth, so till it's totally grey, I'm going to keep going, I think, for a while.
So you had a beard when you were a youth?
Always. That's what we have in
Yorkshire, isn't it?
Yeah. We're born with beard.
You're born with it.
As I said earlier, I can't grow one because I look like a Turkish waiter, so it just goes. And people just start asking me for stuff. So
I paid when I came in.
Yeah. So what's been happening? What's been happening since we last seen you?
Well, I've been working out, obviously.
He's
been working out.
Well, we have been training quite a lot. I mean, that's what the show's about in some ways. So, health being the ultimate wealth flex, I suppose. And so we've been doing a lot of. Well, we just kept recording, which is one of the main things we wanted to do, which was great. We've been training both independently and together. We surfed loads. I've started swimming again. I went and got involved in. Actually competing at Surf Lifesaving, some of the old, the Aussie stuff with the tight budgie smugglers and the vest on.
Do quite well as well, I hear.
We did. Well, I'd like to say I did well, but it was the two guys that were in my team sort of smashed it, and we ended up with a gold medal at the Devons, in the Taplin.
Yes.
Yeah,
nice.
So you were obviously really shit, and they were really good. You're not being any way modest or.
Yeah, we beat Nick Thorne's team, from.
Yeah.
So I think they came second, and we came first in the Taplin. Yeah.
Very nice.
So I mean, it shows, man. It does. You're looking good.
Thank you.
I think it's all down to this guy training you as well. It must be.
Exactly. He's a very good influence. Yeah.
No, not even close. Jesus. I think Liam's done it all himself, and it's rad to watch, and he's progressed an absolute ton. It's been ace to witness. I noticed in the surf. What was it? We went to, was it Woolacombe? It was about about half a foot of swell, and we thought we'd be sensible to drive 90 minutes up the road to see if we can get a tickle. And actually, it was, although very small, it was just perfectly well formed. You know how surf works. Is if the shape is good, it doesn't matter how small or big it just works. It was a really good day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I just kept turning around, Liam on another one, on another one, and he'd just done his couple months of your prone paddling.
Yeah.
It's the biggest sell on prone paddle I've ever seen. Like I haven't ever done any, and it's not necessarily paddle. It's not necessarily something I've ever struggled with really, just because of having surfed so much.
Yeah,
and it's just built into my system for so many years. But Liam, having moved back down from London, was surfing like a couple of times a week, 3 times a week sometimes, and I've seen Liam progress a lot. But the biggest height, without any doubt whatsoever, was when you started doing prone paddle, and it was just wave count. It was like having me next to me, and it made me realise how annoying I am to surf with, because the thing is,
you have no idea.
He has no fucking idea, because of course what's happening is most of the time I'm going for everything because I can. Like I'll come straight back out, I'll go again. Liam's doing the exact same thing, so I'm like, fuck it, there, Liam's gone again. Fuck, there he goes. And it was awesome. Like I counted, you must have caught 30 waves.
Yeah. So will you try to beef them back up to maybe not have as many waves so you get some back? Why don't you get a McDonald's on the way back?
Yeah, I was trying to encourage him a little bit, trying to get him back off script.
You should have another proper job while you're here, you know. Get another one.
Try and take him down that road a little bit.
So on that paddling, like you're saying, so say Liam's paddled out and he's sat in a perfect position, and you paddle out next to him, but you've paddled to the other side of him, so you're on the shoulder.
Yep.
But he's already waiting there. Who would you say he's got right away there?
Jesus. If you've got the shoulder,
he's not bothered who's got right away. He's just going anyway. That's the thing.
I got one like
that's
this.
unfair.
I can see where this is.
That's
You're right.
unfair.
It's unfair. Thank you. If you've got the shoulder, you've got the shoulder.
I'm pretty strict on etiquette. If someone's had a go, if I've had a go, Liam's next in line. He's going to go.
Yeah,
we're pretty good. We're pretty good.
One more wave than me, so.
Will is pretty. It's like he's been to a finishing school of surf etiquette, really.
I'm pretty strong on etiquette.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. And fuck me. And also, I can get greedy. I mean, we were on a surf trip in Portugal 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and I had to turn to my mate Tiago and go, "Mate, am I getting a bit greedy?" And he sort of looked at me over like this and sort of just went, "Yeah, a little bit," because you can feel it. You can tell when you are. Like, I think I'd had a wicked run. I was on this spot. It's like a slab, and it's like people just weren't catching waves. So I get into this thing where I start going, right, well, I'm just going to go because I know I can out paddle quite a lot of people. So I was just going because I could see people missing waves, and then going again, and it became that thing where the wave was just there. It was going to get unridden, so I'll just ride it. But in the end, you've had so many that actually you're starting to just be in the way a little bit, and I knew I'd had a lot, like, because it's such a good wave as well, and I had to just turn to him and it's good. You have a good friend that's like that. They'll be honest with you. And he looked at me and went, yeah. And so I just went, yeah, fuck, I'll just have a rest. And I just went way out to the side and just waited and just chilled out for a bit. Because the thing with surfing is it happens to us all. We all, I think, Jesus, even like the most mindful of humans would admit that it is so addictive that once you get a run going, you can become unconscious like that. Like so quick, you can become a bit of a dick. And we all do. Yeah. And we've all dropped in on each other and snaked and gotten greedy. But as soon as then you're aware of the fact that you have done it and are able to be honest about it and hold your hand up, I think that's cool.
Well, no.
So who is the biggest snake between you two?
Mitch has got a snake tattooed.
Let's clarify this. So, firstly, I pulled off of the wave. Right, so I don't know what the problem is. I was pissing myself laughing and gutted.
He pulled off the wave because he was this close to me, going, "Getting you, motherfucker! Getting you!"
No, right. Let's add another layer to this. I had been saying, so I was testing a new 20. I've never ridden a proper 20 before, and TK gave us a 20 to ride. So I was stoked to get this 20 out, right? And I'm a regular, right? So I just wanted to go on my front side all the time. Every wave I had was on my backhand, right? And they were pretty fun waves. And I'd been saying to Pete the whole time, all I want is one good right to really see what this bowl's all about for me. So I had a left.
Are you regular foot?
Yeah, regular. Yeah. So I had a wave, paddle back out, and this perfect right comes, okay? I had the shoulder. I was already in the lineup. I had the shoulder, right? But we both go, and I'm kind of hoping Pete's not going to catch a wave, right? Obviously, but I want him to kind of catch a wave. But this was the right. It was the only good right that had come through, right? And even now, at the end of the session, I now know that was the wave. And we both paddle onto it, and Pete's completely engulfed in the white water. And I'm just pissing myself laughing. And I'm like, there's no way he's making that. And then I see the motherfucker go to pop up. So I pull off. I pull off because I'm a gent. So I don't see the problem. If anything, I think you're the arsehole in this scenario for not letting me have the one wave that would have made my Christmas peak.
Because I managed to get in front of that white water, so it was fine.
Well,
So-
there you
so
go.
it's all good.
Who's
what
the
it-
bad
what-
guy? Who's the villain here?
It's tricky.
Who's
What
the
are you
villain
looking
here?
to get out of this counselling session, guys?
Well,
do
I
I want
tell
the
what,
wave back.
you want to keep the
Yeah,
marriage
wave
going?
back.
I want the wave.
yeah,
gotta
it
give-
was way back.
How
Got to
can
give
I
Pete a
make
free
that happen?
voucher to the wave park.
I
in
think the
Edinburgh.
only thing that I would say is that, and as you know, Will's been very kind. You know, his fitness is up there, and mine's gone up from where it was when I got back into surfing more regularly again. But the one trick which I use now myself, especially with my kids who I surf with sometimes, is to call you on a wave that you go, this one's yours, dude. And knowing that probably the one behind is the... So once you get used to Will doing that, you're like, I
But you
think
know what?
I'll wait for
Yeah.
the second one of the set, or
Do you
the
know
third
what,
one.
I'd done that with Pete
Yeah.
yesterday, and I saw this
Go,
monster
go.
closeout
Yeah.
coming at putts. And now he was a little bit deeper than me. I was paddling out because I knew I was going to make it over the top, and I thought he was going to get smoked by that. And that's what I'd done. I was trying to, at the same time as trying to duck dive and laughing, I was also trying to shout, "Go, Pete! This one's yours!"
Yeah.
And I found myself saying it while I was laughing and duck diving, and I nearly choked.
I think the main bit of it is that's one of the things you get from like surfing with your mates or someone you can tolerate. You get that buzz. It's half the thing. I said, like, that's what I said yesterday to him. Like, now most of the time if I'm going surfing, I've got to go on my own, and like we got to Puts yesterday, it was all right. It was like 5 minutes up the road, so it's fine. But if I got to drive 2 hours to do that, and it was like it was yesterday, you'd be like, oh, fuck's sake. And having that laugh with someone along the way, that's what I sort of miss, and like having him there that I can tolerate is all right for a bit, So
I didn't have a laugh.
I did,
tried to get really
especially when I was
serious
telling you you're going to die paddling into one, and I could hear him paddling off. Going,
I think what's a really good sign with a surfing life is when you have surfed, you've had an amazing surf, and I think two things happen after that potentially. Is one, that you don't feel like you have to share it with someone else because it felt so good for yourself, and like, God, that was so special. What do I actually want this experience for? I want it to be felt, and I feel amazing. You got this incredible feeling. And the second one, it's a bit of an oxymoron, it's a bit of a paradox because it's about sharing it with someone else. The second, I think, nice thought then is to be able to go, but who do I really want to share this with? Not just like, ego, like let's just chuck it on social media, but actually close friends, people who really care about your surf journey. And when you've got that in your life, I think it's a nice combo to firstly be able to go, actually, I don't really have to share this with anyone. This is so special. This is spiritual, right? But then on the second level after that, to be able to go, yeah, who would I really want to share this with? Social media, okay, it's fine. We don't really know anyone on social media, do we? It's just a thing and you hold in your hands. But to be able to share it with, one or two or three or how many mates close mates that you got. And if you've got then those people in your corner who are kind of rooting for you and going, mate, fuck, that's great. Mate, it's amazing.
Well, it's a bit like...
It makes it so much more fun.
We spend most of the time on the show, and I've done for the last few years, talking about the sort of interchangeability and the parallels between surf and life, right?
Yeah.
So, and it is about who it's cliche now, isn't it? Surround yourself with good people, and you are the sum of the 5, 7, 2, 10 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And if you can take that energy of being around good people when you surf, the surf, ignoring all of the sort of technical stuff that goes alongside it, always feels better. So if you surf with good people, life's pretty good. If you hang out with good people on land, in the real world or whatever you want to call it, life's good. And it's when you kind of we fall into this competitive, egoic bit of surfing or bit of life, you sort of feel a little bit restricted and tense, and it's never as enjoyable as if it's just a couple of buddies surfing quiet waves, having a great time, and not really caring what anybody thinks.
No, definitely.
I think you got that same thing of though, like literally on what you just said. But if you've just caught the best wave of your life, and you're like, fucking hell, that was amazing. How much better is that if your mate has just seen you catch the best wave of your life?
It's
Pete's just after
no, but it is.
validation,
I get it.
They never do, though.
Pete, I get it.
No, they never do.
It's crazy because it's this funny thing where ego, of course, plays a huge role in our lives, and actually, what we can sometimes do is get the humour out of it, and that's where humour comes from. Really, is taking the piss out of our egos, and it's this thing where I get it in golf too, where I'll hit a shot. And I hit a shot yesterday. It was pin high. It was heading right for the flag. It's about 100 yards wedge shot, and it landed, I don't know, like a foot from the pin. I don't do this all the time, by the way. I just want to let listeners know that I'm not that good at golf. But I hit this belting shot, and immediately you sort of do the old like just looking around like side to side, brush your shoulder, you know, the banter of it of that. But there's a lot of joy, really organic joy also, in that if someone had seen that, I've been with a mate, it'd have been more fun. And I asked this to a buddy the other day. I said to him, it's a real good golfing friend, because this relates obviously to surfing. All the parallels are there. But I said to him, would you rather have a birdie on your own or hit a par with a mate? And he said the latter, every day of the week, because you're sharing that joy, you're sharing that experience. So like you said, you have an amazing wave, but then you're having it with a mate and a mate's seen it. It's very special.
Yeah, getting a whoop.
Getting a whoop is
yeah,
fucking rad. No,
It's
it's
great.
awesome.
It's funny because we were chatting about it before about surfing St Andrews
Yeah.
and two beaches, right? There's two
Yep.
beaches, East and West Sands, for
Yeah.
everyone that doesn't know. And normally we all surf at East Sands, right? I remember surfing East Sands, a super early morning surf, and there was quite a lot of people in the water, and it was quite a frustrating
Yep.
day. There was always somebody in the way. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go run and check West Sands, which I actually think now is a much better beach, much better surf, more slopey or gentle, so it peels for longer. But I think we've all got into the habit of just going to East Sands because that's where the crew go, that's where the crew hang out, right? And I went round to West and it was so much better, not a soul in. And I remember, this was last year, getting this right that went on forever. And it wasn't that I surfed it amazingly well, but I surfed it amazingly well for me. And I remember kicking off at the end of that wave and being like, fucking yes, and looking around and there wasn't a soul in the lineup. And I actually felt a little bit dejected.
Yeah.
And that I was like, did that even
Yeah.
happen? And Raglan does a really good skit about that. He's on the headland, right? And he's overlooking two peaks. And one's really busy, but it's shit. The peak's really shit. It's hardly anybody catching anything, but there's loads of people there. And across here on the other side, there's this perfect wedge, just absolute barreling. And his whole thing is, oh, do I go there where I know I'm going to get tubed out of my nut, or do I go there where I might get a sloppy backhander, but everyone will see it? And he's got this back and forth thing, and then it cuts to him being in the sloppy choppy bit because it needs to be validated.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
It's so true, and it does deflate. There's occasionally, I mean, this happens to us. I paddle back out, having just caught what I think is like the wave of my life, which tends to be everyone. And look at Will, and he'll say, "Did you get a good one? Did you not see?"
That's just proper deflating you straight away, wasn't it? He's
Like
sat there
the bubble's just gone boink.
McDonald's?
Yeah. Did you see that? No.
he looks like he's a bit too chuffed with himself there. Was that any good, that one?
Yeah.
There's something I do if I have a wave that's really good for me. And I've done this last week. The second week we surfed at Loch Shore. We have these staff sessions at the end of the day when it's closed to the public. And it was on the turn setting, right? And again, there's 4 settings within that. But it's so wally in the turns barrel. And I just remember, I can't remember what I'd done on the wave. It was probably fuck all. I probably just went right and done nothing. But I done nothing really well for my own ability. And I always have this thing where I know it's a good wave for me. I'm like, I know I'm going to claim it, but I'm like, don't do it. And I kick off and I'm like, fucking yes. And I'm whooping and hollering like a child, like proper like a child. And I remember everyone else, even on the other side, the guys that were surfing on the left, I was on the right, were like, what, did you get barreled or doing air or something? I was like, no, I just went right. But I can't help it. It's just that, it's almost like that animal instinct. You just have to let it go.
I think a lot of that for me, because I had that in Portugal. I was doing a few big whoops. I think a lot of it is because surfing's so fucking hard. And when you find yourself in your flow, God, it's so rare that it takes over you.
Yeah.
So it's just so hard. Let's be really honest. Like 9 out of 10 of our waves and 9 out of 10 of our surfs are mostly just a lot of hard work with some don't get me wrong, some joyous moments. There are those occasions where you get a wave like that or a session like that are so special. And so I think for a lot of us as just average surfers, just when you get that moment like that, God, it's like you've all that like the huge amount of work, and even just like lifestyle stuff, like getting your time guard in, your health habits, your boards, the driving you got to do, and the crowd, the lineup, just learning the whole thing. Getting enough reps in, because as we know, surfers, that's one of our challenges. So there are so many hurdles to surfers. Yeah, you suddenly get a moment where you're in your flow and you're in your pocket, whatever that is for you. I totally support the whoop and the holler and the claim, and fucking do it to the absolute hills, because God, it's like a release, isn't it? It's a release valve. I love doing that.
Absolutely that. Because it isn't easy, is it?
No.
And especially, we're talking just before that we recorded about Loch Shore and the temperatures up there and the cold. But, you're wrapped, especially on this side of the world surfing, you're wrapped head to toe in rubber, and which as adult is absurd in its own right. So we take this. We say this a lot. You take this sport really seriously, but actually you're sort of grown human being, sort of dressed head to toe in rubber, and you're
hanging out in car parks,
hanging around in car parks, talking to strangers, naked, and floating around on some sort of fiberglass wrapped polystyrene. So the whole premise of it is absurd, but the joy that you unlock, to not be whooping is strange. Do you know what I mean?
That's a fair point. Yeah,
I think surfing's probably one of the only things that keeps a lot of people's minds quiet.
Yeah.
Like, because there's so much all the time. And I've tried to describe it before on ways like when you get on a wave and you're coming down the face of the wave and like everything disappears and all because you've got to focus so much on what you're doing, like any little movement and you're off.
Yeah.
So you're so focused that it's like that, that ultimate meditation you're aiming for, where you just go in for that. You've got that bit. And I think a lot of people, their mind quiets completely, and I think
especially
that's why they're enjoying it so much.
In this world, we are in the distraction economy, aren't we? Everything's on. You got instant access to information that, ancestrally you wouldn't have even received that in a lifetime, but we get that in a day. So I think it was Jerry Lopez said that really surfing is a backdoor cheat code kind of thing into mindfulness. Yeah. And into that kind of moment of zen. Now, I mean, they're surfing serious waves, but it's all relative, isn't it? It's kind of...
Sorry, Pete, you say that, like that your moment is zen, right? You're in that moment and you're just switched off to everything. But imagine putting this, say this was an advert for zen, right? In the advert, and you've seen the surfer catch a wave and it just goes quiet, absolute quiet. And then all you hear in the background is that voice going, "You're going to die, motherfucker!" So there goes my zen moment.
Zen for me, not fuck your zen. I want my zen.
That's like a new Lynx fragrance, isn't it? The
fuck your zen, I want mine.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, Jerry Lopez also said surfing's the safest thing in the world, but you always feel like you're going to die.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I've not heard that.
It's quite true. Especially if you go
really
out Putsborough.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
So you said, so we've obviously not met before, so you were sort of Pete size in the past.
I feel sort of marginally starstruck meeting Mitch. He's on the social media that much.
Because he won't do it as much as I try and make him do it.
I'm the same. I kind of stay off the video stuff on Instagram. Although we don't really do loads of Insta anyway.
Not loads.
Pete tries to stay off it, but all I now do, because I know he won't do it by himself, is I will only now film him when he's either ordering food or eating food. That's my thing. Yeah. But I was going to ask you, so you've obviously put a lot of work in and lost a bit of clem, as we would say. How have you found the difference in the water for you surfing?
Oh, it's immense. I mean, to kind of put some context, I've tended to do like Robbie Williams style, get fit, get unfit, get fit.
Like Ricky Hatton style.
Yeah, and a lot of that, very Ricky Hatton, very, very
Ricky
much.
was the master of that.
Absolutely tremendous. One of my favourite boxers as well. But it's kind of, when I came back, I say came back, my wife is from Sidmouth, which is why we ended up, I was looking at proper surfing places to go and live and bring the kids up. And but Will, thankfully, and this is a sort of long answer to the question, but Will convinced me, said, "Oh, there's surf here. You come surf here and check the waves."
Chatting with you, Jacob's dad, yeah.
How did you two know each other then?
My wife used to babysit for Will, believe it or not. Yeah, back in the day.
I was going to say, is she a couple of years older, or is your wife like?
Babysit for Will.
I'm nearly I'm nearly 10 years. There's about 10 years between us, I think. Something like that.
2 years,
8, 9 years.
Even though it doesn't look it. Liam's very fresh-faced, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just for men. I'll get their sponsorship.
Liam's 72.
I'll get the sponsorship deal later. I'm the same age as Jerry Lopez. That's the thing. We're drinking from the fountain of youth. It's like they're going to make that Cocoon 3. It'll be me and Jerry Lopez swimming in the swimming pool with those little alien pods.
Just swimming in proper job.
Yeah,
this is the life.
Top job for me. That. So I kind of was working pretty hard and traveling the world, and if you're doing that, you're eating, drinking. Even if you have a commitment to sort of some level of fitness, it's just you're in an asymmetrical warfare against the thing that's kind of inflaming all of your bodily system and your mind and the stress. So coming back, coming to Sidmouth, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, was the start of kind of going, right, this is a complete lifestyle change as well, as much as you can. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sort of Puritan. I'm still partial to too many proper jobs, and my life is still a very sociable one. But there was a sort of real commitment to get fitter for life, really. And that life that I was looking to lead was very much around surfing and swimming and ocean sports again. So Will was a big inspiration, a big part of that. And, you know, we spent a lot of time instead of spending time in pubs and restaurants and airport lounges and all that sort of thing, we were spending time in the sea. And probably nicking this quote from Lewis, isn't it, one of the local surfers here, to say that the sea is the best pub in the world. You know, it's the best pub you can go to because you spend hours and hours in there and you come out a better person. And I think that was kind of the change that I was probably looking to achieve, coming back and getting fitter. So yeah, you're right. I think when we first met, I was still a fairly puffy, inflamed sort of world traveller.
The Doritos chili heat wave.
The sponsor
being worn on the
Doritos,
skin.
they're the ones,
Sponsored by
aren't they?
Doritos chili heat
Doritos are the
wave,
one, though.
delicious things, but
Pete's worked hard to sustain it.
Yeah.
Just for
I
clarity.
know you stopping, so I just doubled my intake down. And I was just going for it.
we don't want the share price of Doritos to go down.
No.
So no, that was it really, and it's still an ongoing challenge. You know, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination doing everything right, but it's made an enormous difference to my fitness, and particularly as you know, joking aside about age, you know, I'm sort of 49 next year, and the ability to recover quickly when you're in your 20s, 30s, and even like 40 to 45, I notice a big difference. Now that I'm kind of knocking on the door of 50 nearly, you have to be a little bit more considered about what you do, especially if you're dedicating your spare time to going surfing.
Yeah.
Because you can't really lie about your fitness to the ocean.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not
it's
a
true,
really...
it's true.
You can't sort
like
of...
that.
You can't be the pub surfer kind of, or the pub jiu-jitsu person, or the pub footballer where you say, oh, you know, I'm brilliant at this, and that. Once you're in there, you're getting a thrashing.
Yeah.
And if you're not fit, even if you are fit, it's difficult. But relative to what you're trying to achieve, there's no hiding place, is there? Otherwise, you're just getting hiding.
No, for sure, yeah.
I thought you were on about the best pub in the world because you can taste the piss of everyone that's like.
Yeah.
It was definitely extra salty and puts for the other day, especially the first time he'd been wild swimming, surfing for ages.
But you look lovely as well, by the way, Pete. Don't let anybody...
I think I've lost a few pounds since last time I saw you as well.
Pete's been on the heartbreak diet. So
That was the best way to go through it. Yeah. Let's talk
Hotel.
about that. Should we talk about when my dad died as well?
Yeah. Mitch just taking the joy out the air there.
Yeah, it just takes the joy out of everything. But no, it's just I don't know. Just I have been eating better and just looking after myself a little bit, but nothing too major changes. But that's it, really.
I think Will's the best person to speak to. I mean, as a PT and kind of a inspiration to kind of perform better, because Will commits a lot of time to surfing or doing anything that he can do to the best of his ability, and that's good to sort of be around. When I say about be around the best people for whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got me going.
Well, for me, it comes back to joy. Like, I think that really that's our precious commodity: time and joy, and then health within that. And health is the vehicle to be able to access those two. Without health, we have absolutely nothing, as we all know.
Yeah.
And so I've really just always made my life around health, because if I haven't got that, then I and because even like a 5-10% drop in health, it mitigates the level of joy I can experience in surfing or other sports that I'm doing. And for me, even just that little drop is too much.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people would see the way I live and be like, Jesus, mate, you live like a monk. And for me, I was saying this to Liam just on the phone, literally only about an hour ago, we were talking about this. But for me, it makes me feel wealthy as I could possibly feel.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in the ocean, even if it's 2 to 3 feet and on shore, which it invariably is where we live, and I'm having an amazing time because I've put in such good work in behind the scenes, I could not physically, mentally or spiritually, emotionally be in a more happy state. And for me, that's true wealth. And so, geez, I just value it. And it's one of those ones, I make this point really clear. On the Portugal trip just gone, the boys were remarking at how disciplined around nutrition while they were tucking into different things.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't seem that way. Everyone has their own normal, don't they?
Yeah.
So for me, it's
yeah.
just my own normal. For me, it's something that dates back to when I was sort of seminally involved in professional rugby. So it comes through that background. And so I guess even from the age of 15, I've been dialing down my diet like really religiously, and even from the age of 12 doing like hill sprints and weightlifting. And so it's just been always part of my life. I can't imagine a part of my life where I'm not doing, loads of training. Diet's pretty darn good, pretty clean. But also having gone into the Hurt Locker too, like that, when I was in my 20s, that really set the pathway on for me of having and getting psoriasis. I still have it to this day. I have it a lot better. But as a lot of people know, psoriasis is an autoimmune condition that affects your skin. And whether it's a mix of vanity, probably a lot of that, but just with wanting to be healthier, I started making adjustments and changes. And if I ever go back to some of my older diet and lifestyle that I ever did before, I'm reminded of how shit I did actually used to feel. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? That's why we call it wonderful.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of it's the deterrent is not wanting to feel like that as much as it is to want to feel better in the surf as well. It's like a double-edged sword at the same time.
I think the thing as well is that, and Will is good at this, and I hope that kind of I would sort of echo that sentiment, is it's not about telling other people what they should be doing either.
No, never.
Not being preachy.
It's not like preachy and
God,
like you should do this.
Although I used to be when I was younger.
It's more about like just whatever works for you. If you thrive and genuinely on chili Dorito heat waves, which I used to, and proper that's cool. This is not about, none of the stuff we ever chat about on the show is like, you got to do this and it's like evangelical. It's more about, this is working for us. Does it make you surf better? Absolutely. Like worlds apart.
Yeah. And I could tell how committed and disciplined you were when I came in, and you've gone to the effort of colour coding your jacket to your tan.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned the tan, because I literally had someone reciting a story from university days where I've tended to always have just a good skin colour. I mean, I'm outside all the time. I just want to be on a trip, and I do go brown. I really do go brown. You meet my mum, my good God, my mum's a few shades darker than me.
Yeah.
But mates used to take the piss. We did an OAA trip to the Brecon Beacons, and this is when Prince William was being airlifted, because there'd been this awful weather, and it was all in the news, and we were up there doing OAA in like 60, 70 mile an hour winds. It was like minus 20 wind chill. It was like extreme conditions. They got airlifted off, but my mate was taking the piss saying, when I got back from OA, he's like, yeah, mate, we heard about Prince William, and the way that they were going to find him was to see where they could find your beacon of orange light coming out of the fucking storm. Then they're going to go, oh, look, that's where Prince William is. It's where Will is, because he's shining orange from 1,000 miles.
It's wild, yeah.
But no, it does match. The orange and the orange do match. I do get that comment a lot. My tan does eventually go. About January, it starts.
No,
to fade
I mean,
off.
I thought I used to be tan, but you.
Yeah.
I was honestly, before
Yeah.
I knew I was going to say that, I was looking going, is it the lights? Is it a reflection?
No, it is.
And you're against a white backdrop, which is even worse. But I was looking at you to go, oh no, he's definitely more tan.
Yeah.
it's also one of those skin types where I was at a wave just nearby the other day, having a couple hours on my own surfing. It was a great little surf. I'm sure we'll talk about it later on. But the sun was just there, winter sun.
Yeah.
It just hits my face. I can get about 10 minutes of that, and then my whole body goes like this orangey colour. And I know it. And listen, hey, it's lovely to have. It's my genetics, but God, it is just. It's funny how many times it's come up in conversation. People do, and it's funny because I want to then do the old woke, like whip out the race card and be like, look,
Yeah.
what?
I mean, it's
you're talking about my skin.
I'm offended.
I'm going to be. I'll choose to be offended. No,
it's jealousy. Like we all
Yeah.
want to be tan. Like my face tans really well, and you've obviously got the thing. I've always said it as a joke. I'm sort of like, why can you not tan on the face and the hands like surfers tan?
Yeah.
The body shares it round the
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah.
You've obviously got that. I was so
The
white
diffusion
everyone
of
else.
tan.
the body does share it. Interestingly, on tan, one of the actually you can look at this if you want to do some googling, but cholesterol relates a lot to your ability to tan. So the lower your cholesterol level, the less of an ability you actually to be able to tan. So melanin and the production of the tanning agent, as in the sort of the side effect of getting sun on your skin, that pathway is related to your cholesterol level. Now we've discussed this a lot on our show, but there's a lot of cholesterol myths out there. Like, oh, try and get your cholesterol down, and of course a lot of it is BS, depending on which school of thinking you follow. For me, it is BS. So my cholesterol, I mean, I eat probably more than a stick of butter a day, and ribeye steaks and salmon and avocado. I mean,
There's the tan then.
So a lot of it is also to look into that. So you get a huge hike in your fat levels. So you just start increasing your
Mitch is going to be
fat
down
intake.
next.
Now,
2 weeks later,
eating a
he'll
block
be-
of butter. Like that's what he said.
You're
This is
gonna
awful.
You're going to need it in Edinburgh. Fuck me.
It's going to be like Lost Shaw's answer to David Dickinson by the time he gets.
Exactly.
Is that why like all the I'm trying to think of what the right term is now, but all the like ginger people basically from like Nordic and all that Viking backgrounds, all of them in the Celtic areas, that's the word I was looking for. Low cholesterol,
Throw out the ratio.
It might
possibly.
be linked to it.
Yeah.
It might be linked to
Another
it.
racial comment.
Yeah.
Peter.
Shut up! You brought haggis down with you. He actually
For
did.
you.
He actually brought it down.
He wanted
haggis.
it. He wanted square sausage,
Yeah,
wee
that's
welly winky
banging.
sausages, tablet,
Whoa.
macaroon bars, and
Yeah.
basically all the Scottish foods. That's what Pete wanted.
Flipping out.
Because he wanted high cholesterol so he could tan.
So you get, you can see it. You're getting your glow, mate. It's coming.
That's
Oh, yeah.
dirt, mate. It's dirt. Yeah.
That's the Protsper sewage.
Oh man. Yeah.
No, Protsper's a clean beach, I reckon.
So
always
there was a
feels
lot
pretty
because it
clean.
rained so much before we got down. The
Yeah.
runoff was huge.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it?
But it was fairly clearish yesterday when we surfed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
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 So how long are you down in sunny
Devon.
Tannable Devon
Yeah.
for?
Well, till I got to go Saturday because I got to go to London on Sunday, and then
I'm going to hang about till Sunday. I'm
He's
hoping I
gonna
can
hang
get
out till
surf
Sunday.
before I
Yeah.
go back. I think the swell's coming back again at the weekend.
Yeah, we've
Typically
got
we do
waves.
these trips and the
fuck
swell
all.
dies
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yesterday was fun. I didn't think it was going to happen, so it was really nice to go. And I
Yeah.
love Putsboro's my favourite beach in Devon. I love Putsboro.
Oh, mate.
It's a great beach.
It's,
Oh,
got,
yeah.
it's the, when you get there, it's one of those few beaches, and I can say this about having been to quite a lot of beaches around the world, that it is genuinely spectacular.
Mm.
So to anyone who's listening to this who's not been to Putsborough Beach, it's the view, isn't it?
It's gorgeous,
I think
yeah.
it's just when you're there,
It's
with the
looking
cliffs,
down on it. Yeah,
God,
it
it's
is.
because you get that view looking down. It just is such a cool.
We
place.
filmed with someone yesterday, and
Yeah.
literally the whole room stopped when they referred to Putsborough as a mellow beach. Is it anything but mellow?
Yeah, and when you say that, Mitch, mellow, you mean in terms of the wave?
He meant it was quite soft. It wasn't a brutal heavy.
Oh no, no,
Uh,
Putsborough can be really heavy.
Well,
It's
there's no
super,
hiding
yeah.
place
It-
either
it-
when it comes in.
Yeah.
Putsborough's uniquely heavy, I think, because I've been out at Putsborough in some big days, and the reason why I think it's uniquely heavy as it gets bigger is because it's one of the few ways around the world that breaks deeper but heavy at the same time. So oftentimes when waves get really heavy, as we all know, it gets shallower, right? And I've been in places like Bali where I've taken off on a double overhead set, gotten absolutely walloped because invariably I do. I've gone over the falls and you're back up within 2-3 seconds. It's so shallow, so you might press your feet off the floor, but you're back up, and it's sort of it's very ferocious very quickly. Places like Hawaii are different because a lot of waves, like for example Sunset, would break into deep water, but it breaks really fucking heavy. So the reason why places like Sunset is so gnarly is because you get held underwater because the water's deep. Putsborough is in a little bit of that ilk because it breaks quite deep, breaks quite far out the back. However, it breaks with a barreling lip. So it's either to say that Putsborough is mellow, I would not put it in that category. However,
Definitely not.
if Putsborough gets down to 8-9 second period swell, yeah, it's.
Who are you chatting to? Laird Hamilton.
No. That's just stupid. It was
Yeah.
Kai Lenny.
yeah.
For guys like that, yeah, it's mellow. It's
Everything's mellow to Kai Lenny, isn't
I've
it?
had that at Putsborough. It's been
Yeah.
heavy, and I think wave face wise was round about 7-8 foot,
Yeah.
and it's pushed me down, and I've gone so deep that I'm like I don't know where I am, and I swam and hit the bottom where I'm like
Oh yeah,
I'm
it's
right
gnarly.
there.
Yeah. And you're like 10 feet under the water.
Tombstone board.
It ramps up. I've been in Putsborough as well, and it just ramps up out of nowhere. It's not like a building swell. It's just somebody flicks a switch, and you've gone from it being big.
Croyd
to
does
being
that as well, though,
massive.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
It
Croyd
can,
does
it
the
can
same.
catch you out, yeah.
Yeah, I think Croyd does the same. You've got like often there's like low. What the fuck is that? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I remember paddling out. When I paddled out once, it was at my comfort level.
Yeah.
Caught a couple of waves, got smoked, and then it just ramped up. I remember thinking, right, one more wave and I'll take it in regardless of what happens. I didn't really get that wave. So then I remember just sitting going, how the fuck am I getting in? I need to get in. Like, I don't even want to paddle inside.
The problem is,
It's gnarly. It can be really gnarly.
I don't surf puts as much, and because we end up like Woolly or into the middle bit or round other places if we go there. But putts is a great place. The problem with putts is that your mind gets played with when it's heavy because you can see them you can see what's coming from miles away as well. So you know you're going to get thrashed.
Yeah.
And it's so you just sat there waiting for it. Yeah.
I also will have a
Beautiful
special
beach.
place in my heart forever because I recently peed in my wetsuit at Putts, which I never do.
Oh, was that first? Was it?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a foot. It was a second, but it was.
I'm
you know, I don't do it.
very infrequently lost for words.
Yeah.
But right now,
Don't do
I'm
it.
stunned.
Don't do it. I will.
How many people? So on the UK Surf Show, how many people, guests you've had on, have gone, "What the fuck?" Like,
I mean,
is it just me? I mean, that
He doesn't bring it up every conversation.
it's not a genetic.
it's your
question.
opening line to literally every guest you ever
Hi,
had.
I'm Mitch. I've never peed in
It
my
depends how
wetsuit.
long you're in and how hydrated you are.
So I
fucking
done it
funny.
once in France, right? It was years ago, and I
That'll
remember
teach.
feeling
That'll
it.
teach them.
Yeah, I remember. I remember it coming up my back and over my shoulder and down my chest, and being like, "Yeah, that's howling. That's not for
Oh,
me.
mate,
Not
that's
for me,
lovely.
right?" So I've never pissed in my wetsuit since. I will go to the effort of getting out the water, paddling in, getting out. Like, actually, if I needed a pee that day at Potts when it was way above my comfort zone, I would have fucking got in easily if I needed a piss. And I would have gone out and I would have found somewhere to pee and I would have paddled back out through the carnage. And that's what I would do because I'm not a dirty fucking tramp, right? So
Yeah.
that's
well,
what I would do.
listen, Mitch, in that case, mate, hold your seat because my brother, the waves were so good one time, massive. We're both in, it's clean. Saunton Beach, of course we all know. And he's like, "Mate, I really need a shit." And I was like, "Well, just shit, mate. Don't worry about it. The surf's just too good, mate. You can't go in. It's going to take you 10 minutes to get in, 20, 30 minutes to get out. You know what it's like, Saunton. It's just hellish." And he went, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it." He took his massive dump in his wetsuit. he carried on surfing. Interestingly, the smell was so bad because he was surfing. He got a couple of waves. He said, "Mate, I've got to go in. The smell is too bad." Suit was a write-off. He actually scrubbed it. He got back to we got this little place at Saunton. He got back to our little place there and was scrubbing it with not running water because we don't have running water there. We got a little place in the dunes there.
Is it the Rip Curl shit off?
It was definitely something like that. Then. And it was a good suit.
Yeah.
And eventually he just said, "I just got to go in a bag in the bin." Because he was scrubbing it, doing all sorts, trying to get the smell out. It didn't get out. So don't shit in your suit. It will ruin the suit.
Yeah.
Just to say.
So you know, if you're one of them people that say the ocean is not your toilet and you're pissing in your wetsuit, I beg to differ. The ocean literally is your toilet. Literally is. So I hadn't done it since. We were down in Devon back in, I want to say, February time. Maybe it was after that. Me and a guy from Lough Shore did like a sales trip, meeting all the surf schools around the UK basically, and we surf Putts. Really fun day. So me and the Grand Kahuna, that's Martin's title. He's got like the over 60s category or whatever it is in Scotland. Absolute legend of a bloke. Paddled out, and I was desperate for a slash before I got in, but there was people on the beach, so I was like, okay, I'll just hold on to it. And I remember being in there like, I cannot hold on any longer, and just thinking, I can't be that bad. I talk about it so much. I might as well just try it. If anything else, it's a justification as to not doing it. So I went for it, immediate regret, and I was like, I'm gonna have to flush it. The water was freezing, like, pulled the suit open, obviously some salt water came in, but then all I've got, it didn't actually flush it, I've just got warm and wet piss floating around my body, and every wave I paddle on, so I could just feel it moving around. I was like, this is fucking howling. How do people do this?
Man, I love it. It's like warm golden syrup.
I know
coating your chilly veins. It's
I know
a gorgeous
people
feeling.
that will piss in their wetsuit before they even get in the water.
Oh yeah!
Big shout, Alex Mason, if you're listening. He'll do it in the car park.
Dude! I've got piss flying everywhere. I mean, I'm standing there waiting for a mate. We're in like a sunny car park. It's then there's just a dribble coming down and invariably I'll do it just more to get giggles going.
Yeah, but you're so well hydrated you can't help yourself. Whereas
I do need a piss now.
He goes for like one piss a day though, and it's like a 5-minute piss, so that's why.
No, I'm not. I'm the other way around. Like if we went for a pint, maybe you'd go, I don't know, once every 5 pints to the toilet, and you'd probably just piss 5 pints. I will have 1 pint and go 20 times and piss a shot glass, like literally. So it's just shotgun method for me.
No, I'm the camel. I could do like a 12-hour road trip and not stop if everybody else is on
absolute
board.
Animal. Like we'll pull over on a lay-by, coming back from Cornwall, Devon, North Devon or somewhere.
You're desperate for a piss all the time.
And I'll just be like instantly just gallons coming out, and Liam's just still in the van on his phone checking his emails.
I have never passed a service station on the motorway without going in and using the toilet.
Invent something for the wetsuit by now where you can just like a little sit there or something like that.
And what about the back door too?
Well, your brother
poo.
can sort that
My
out.
brother can sort that out.
I think that's a very niche market for
There's a
people
serious
who need to
thing.
shit while-
Also, I don't fancy duck diving around your brother.
No.
If he's got a back zip.
Yeah. Backsit pink-eyed duck dive.
Oh.
So, chat to us about. I know you guys have been on the show before, but chat about your sort of surfing, where it sort of started, how it's progressed.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it came out of my brother, really. So talking about that brother, Toby Foster,
I love the fact you
surfing
just
legend.
named him now as well.
So we've now
he's
named
not
him.
getting away from it.
People are going to go find him. But he, I was just on the brink of coming out of rugby. I was sort of umming and ahhing about it. Do I take it more seriously again and try and pursue it further? And then in that exact same summer, I was working and living down in Cornwall as a lifeguard, and I was just on the brink of, it's just like doing a bit of surfing because it's all around you, and all my brothers do it. So I've got an eldest brother who was a professional windsurfer for 30 years or something in the end, and it lives in Hawaii. And there's another brother who lives there too. And then the brother who I'm about to mention again, Toby, he was also always into surfing too. So my entire family were absolutely obsessed with it. It's the only thing they wanted to do. So I think it was a matter of time before it sort of filtered into me. And I'd done bits and pieces, and I remember getting a board from him. So Toby, thank you, Toby, again. He actually gave me his old Almeric 610, heavily rockered flyer. It was one of the original flyer models with a sort of squash tail. And I was at Sennin Beach, way down Land's End, as we all know.
Speaking about heavy waves.
Very heavy, potentially, and a really good spot down there as well. But I caught like a 2-3 footer. And just got that feeling we all get, and it was just it locks in forever, and it was just a sort of the thing I remember the most. I'm sure a lot of surfers will empathise with this, but it's the lack of noise. Having been a whitewater sort of boogie boarder for 20 or 21 years up to that point of always having been near the ocean, because we got a place on the north coast of Devon, and all family holidays were always boogie boarding and doing bits and pieces of foamy and kind of half surfing really. But to get that first experience of a green face was just locked in for me then. And then from that moment on, it was kind of a case of just trying to do it as often as I could.
Yeah.
And then it was weird because then I'd grown up in Devon, but then we actually I moved to London because I got my PT qualification done after university, met my wife, and I asked her dad if I could stay at the flat for like a week just while I'm sort of bedding in, and then like 11 years later we left the flat. Basically let us live in. So it's a bit,
Squatters' rights.
little swindled him a little bit, squatters'
Yeah.
rights. But yeah, but in the end it was weird. So I think that a lot of my hunger came from a couple of things. It was one, having got to surfing quite late compared to my brothers, and then two, suddenly then being a London surfer and doing all that thing and driving down all the time, and then three, kind of wanting to then find a way of moving back to home, because this is where I'm from, and being by the waves. And we did about sort of, I suppose, 8-9 years ago. So it was interesting because I think for all of us as surfers, we're sort of wondering what our motivations are. They all come from different places, don't they? But for me, mine are very much around kind of just wanting to have a thing that I do that involves my physical body, that makes my mind feel incredibly focused. And I get it from other sports now too. I get it from golf now. And golf has surprised me how much it's given it to me in that way. Like flow experience is what we are really addicted to as surfers, that huge dopamine hit that we get of having absolutely zero thoughts going on. The body's energized. There's all this exercise going on, all these endorphins being produced. And you're just in this completely meditative state. And you at that point, if someone was to quickly come up to you and ask you, oh, by the way, quickly, Will, do you mind me asking, do you have any problem? No, not fucking one. Not a single problem right now. You don't have any. Yeah. And this is what's so fascinating about, do we have problems? Do we not? Well, of course, it's all in the mind, isn't it? So much of what actually we consider to be our worries, our problems, our stresses are really something that we're thinking about in that moment, right?
Do you know what's really funny on that? We had Eric Davis the other day we were chatting to, 73-year-old surfing legend, and I said to him, do you ever get that thing, when you have it in golf, you have it in surfing, you go out, you just have a shit surf or a shit, and he's like, no, never. I'm like, why not? He said, because I'm always having a good time. I'm like, fuck, that's the answer.
Yeah, it is, no, but it is.
Wait,
but even a terrible surf, what's really fascinating is you've been able to turn to someone and go, oh mate, how was your surf? You say, oh yeah, it was pretty terrible. Were you thinking about anything else?
Yeah.
And the immediate answer would be no. And then the next question is, while you were apparently having a terrible surf, were you producing endorphins? Yes. So you were exercising. Were you in nature? Yes. Were you getting all these health benefits, anti-inflammatory benefits, so on and so forth? So you can only ever get this benefit from it, even if it's the worst surf you've ever had. It's still going to have
you still get
huge
frustrated,
benefits.
right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I went surfing with my middle kid, Fistral, a few weeks ago, and he had a great surf, and I had a terrible one the first day we were there. And I was frustrated. And then you have to come back to the stuff that we try and remind ourselves all the time. It's like, how bad is it? What would you rather be doing at the moment you're having a terrible surf? What would replace that as something better? You know?
And an hour later, day later, week, whatever it is, that's so insignificant, that frustrating moment is gone and it's out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a crossover here because we were chatting earlier about I've spent over a year of my life deployed in Afghanistan, right? Yeah. And we were chatting with Ads from the Grumpy Surfer podcast, and he kind of just flippantly made a comment about getting blown up, and Pete went into this whole conversation like, whoa, hold on a minute, like you can't just pass beyond that in the same as I'd done.
Yeah, both of them did the same thing. They're both ex-military.
Yes.
Both like stood at an IED, got blown up, and they're just like, it just happened, and I'm like, what the fuck?
But
that's not normal, and they just skim past it like it's the most normal.
But
thing.
why I bring this up is because relevant to what you're saying is that similar. Whilst there's obviously combat stress and all the things that are going on. Yeah. When you're deployed in Afghan, depending on what your job is, you're not. Bit like when you're sat in the lineup, not thinking about my car needs an MOT, not thinking about direct debits, not thinking about the daily life things that pull you down. You're just thinking about the now and the moment, and I think there's something quite beautiful and simple about that, and that's why we probably just sort of flip past it. It's quite normal because you're exposed to it.
Well, I think what's really, really, really powerful. I love that point, Mitch. That's beautiful. I think that when he's giving him the thumbs up.
We have a thing when someone says good question or they say
keep a tally.
We keep a tally on it.
You can start doing thumbs. That's good.
It's a good one.
But one of the ones I like is an experiment. It's like get someone to look at something that's stressing them out and say to them while they're feeling stressed, say to them, how stressed are you feeling about this right now? And they say, it's an 8 out of 10, let's say, or whatever. This is what's so fascinating about perception, because perception is everything, as we know. Let's say you take them for a surf and they've had a great surf, even just an average surf or even a bad surf. And afterwards, you get them to look at the same spreadsheet or whatever it is they need to do, or email, or talk with a person, or whatever it is. Just name it, whatever it is. And it was an 8. How would you rate it now? And actually not avoid it either. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, now let's just go and live in a yurt and do nothing. No. Let's still live real life. Let's still immerse ourselves in the reality of life, which is a challenge. And say to me, now you're going to now lean into that, go and do your emails, and go and do your thing, and go and do this thing that you find. Now tell me what the number was. And they say 2 or 3. And it's so really what's going on here all the time with surfing is giving us is this change in perception.
Yeah.
It's helping us realize that so much of what we thought was stressful isn't. It's just that we thought it was stressful at the time, based on our state of being in that moment. And so what's great about having a sport, any sport for that matter, but something that puts us in nature like surfing, which is really special, is it raises all these juices in our brain that help us perceive life so differently. So you can really have, it was crazy, you have the exact same life, same income, same relationships, same fucking everything, but you have a sport in your life that changes your perceptions, that makes you actually feel happy despite having changed nothing about your circumstances, which is really
it's having
humbling.
It's having that appreciation for it as well, so that you are you kind of aware that that's the reality, if you like. So we always kind of talk about this idea that when you get back into the real world from surfing, and especially if you've been deployed, like you and Ads to places that's the real world. You're in a real life or death situation. Surfing's like a frivolous for the most of the waves that we all surf. It's more of a frivolous kind of playful kind of challenge, isn't it? But because you're in nature and because you're away from the real world, so to speak, it puts it all into perspective. So the stresses and strains that you face when you've got your feet on dry land and in cool trainers or big clumpy boots,
especially like Pete's cool
trainers. Those challenges, if you can put that perspective into it, because you've been in the sea or out in out in nature, it kind of melts away a little bit. And if all you are is immersed in the thing that is, stress, without that sort of switch, then you kind of lose perspective on life. And so it is a cheat. It's
Yeah.
cheating, really, because you go in the sea and you do a big paddle or you go surfing, and everything, you ask the same question of are you still stressed? Not for that time you're in there, really.
No.
But perception, I think perception is very much a theory, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't think perception is tangible. And to put an example onto that, I have what I would always refer to as an irrational fear of, for me, what's a bigger wave, right? So I'm going to call that head and a half plus of that, right? For me, that's an irrational fear. Why is it irrational? I know the perception, I know that at that level, I start to get a bit panicky. But I also know when I've surfed in them kind of conditions, I've never fucking died.
Yeah.
So it becomes irrational. I've always dealt with it in the moment, absolutely as I should. Yeah, sometimes it's not gone as well as it could have, but I've never died. So I'm aware of that. That's irrational. That is irrational. Why do I still have a worry about that? So while I've got the perception of it, I can't change it in the moment, and it still gives me that barrier almost to surfing waves like that.
Well, it's fascinating that.
Yeah, that's
because there's
interesting.
also different layers to it, and there's the conscious and subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is going on without us even realizing, and so that's where perception does become so blurry, because as much as we try and sort of convince ourselves that we are, let's say, overcoming a fear of some kind, until we're in the heat of the moment and we're there again in that moment.
Yeah.
We then find out what subconscious mind wants to do. Subconscious mind is the body. So Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot in his studies, is that through our experiences of life, we don't know where they come from. They might even be from past lives, which is another whole interesting conversation, because I'm not disclosed to that. But from our life experience or past life experiences, the subconscious mind actually beds itself into your cells. It goes into your body. So your body will have already decided before your mind to be scared of this situation. That's what's so crazy. So the only way to ever overcome these kind of situations is just radical consciousness, just amazing levels of of awareness that you can go. You can sense that you're. Wait, whoa, what? There's like let's say there's a wave coming, and you go to not do it because let's say it's bigger or whatever.
Yeah.
Or any other thing that might scare someone in life. Let's say going for a business venture. It doesn't matter what it is, but the little inertia is if someone's growing in mindfulness awareness, they're aware that the body's already done it before their mind's done it. It's super weird. It's like it's like you haven't even decided to do it. It's like the person who goes over to the fridge to grab extra chocolate they don't need. It's like they're back down on the sofa, they're eating, and it's their mind hasn't done a single bit of it.
Yeah.
The subconscious body, I don't call it subconscious mind anymore. I call it subconscious body. It's like a robot that the hands are doing it. It's all on its own. And so the only way to really overcome these kind of situations is very, very gradually over a long, long time, just keep raising awareness of that little inertia and just try anyway. And oftentimes in a lot of people, they don't overcome that kind of situation. And does that matter? No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Unless someone really, really values it, that it could, let's say, transform their lives or make them feel better.
I saw a really good thing on that the other day about how to change your subconscious mind. There's a really good video on it. But cleverly, my subconscious mind's made me forget what it was. It's actually true. I can remember thinking that's really good. I'm going to implement some of that, and it's fucking gone out.
That's
my
like
head completely.
that's like me. Pete. I read books sometimes. I'm like, I am the smartest person in the world, and then I close the book and I think, what the fuck was that book about?
That's good.
Our all of our mutual friend Alan Biscuit Arms Bissiker, shout out Adrenaline Athlete. Me and him were at a skateboarding GB comp up in Glasgow last month, I think it was, and he was chatting about something really similar with that. And he was talking about how it's a subconscious mind. So a skateboarder learning a trick, say that, I don't know, in some sort of air, but they have like the foam pit, so they can just keep practicing into it. So they know, they don't land it, they're not going to fuck it or screw themselves over. But when they nail that trick and they've still got the soft landing, that doesn't mean they've nailed the trick. Doing it then actually without the safety rope, if you like, that's not the same thing. It's completely different. Like having the safety element changes your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it does. And also
it's why some people are good in training exercises, whatever you're doing, but they're not very good at the actual thing itself sometimes. But I relate to the big wave thing. I and Will has an appetite for big waves, and I have an appetite for small waves, and same thing. I know that my capability-wise, there are people who you can't swim sometimes out in waves bigger than I'm comfortable with, and it's an irrational
Yeah.
So an
You ever had
irrational
that?
fear.
That is irrational.
Have you ever had that on a wave, Will? Like I know I can do the face and the motion, and all three of us will know the same thing. As you're paddling in, and you just go like that. It's like something there that just goes, "Fuck, what are you doing?" Like that. And do you ever get that? Like, because I know you like to the bigger waves.
I did.
Where is that limit for you? Where you go, no, fuck, that's no.
I did in Portugal just recently. It was getting on for 4 or 5 times overhead, so it was getting, I suppose, 20 feet, like legit giant, massive waves on this one beach we were on, and we had one buddy get out the back and he just sat there, he didn't move. A guy called Danny.
Just terrified.
He was just not moving. Yeah, he had the wrong board. He had totally the wrong board. And then me and my buddy Tiago, and if Tiago's watching this, I'm reminiscing on this brilliant story because I look across at him and I don't know why I do this, but whenever I'm in a real situation like proper, I've been in a few in surfing, I just get giggles. I get this ridiculous giggles. I just start laughing.
Nerves.
Nervous laughter.
Of course, it's nerves.
Yeah.
It's nervous laughter. But it becomes this fit, and I start laughing. I look at T, and then he goes. So he's gone. We've both looked at each other, seeing this set coming. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and it was coming over, and it's like Portuguese style. So it was not a crumbling lip. It was like this just mountain of water, like Chopu style, going to land. So we then started going backwards. You know that deal? So we, rather than go towards it, because the lip's going to actually detonate on you, so we actually started to going backwards to let it detonate and then run through us and then so on. Chuck the boards out of the way. There's no way you duck dive in that, and just start swimming under. Let it go over the top.
Nope.
And that was getting a bit twitchy. But I think the thing is for me, I went for a wave. I caught two waves that day. I had all that inertia for that wave that I was going for. I looked down the wall, and it's a sort of airdroppy 15 to 20 foot wall. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten better in those moments. And I think it's just the nature of just consistent practice, and also mentally having put so much work into meditation and that kind of stuff. I think that plays a big role. Like I think just being able to just singularly focus on a single moment and still feel all this feeling of fear, but know that despite it being there, I can still focus on what I'm doing. I think that what's amazing is if you can, like, for example, let's say we all were to like, let's say we had the skills for this, by the way, but let's say we had the skills for this and we were to all now, in our life experience, stand on the first tee of the British Open. It is still just a golf ball. You've just got to look at it. So everyone's looking at you, but you've just got to look at. So with a big wave, it is just a wave. Like you paddle into it. Yes, fair enough, you've got to have the paddle strength, but as long as you've got that, you just paddle into it. What is stopping someone else versus someone else is literally just that I would just keep looking at where I'm going to go. That's it. That is the only difference. And again, a guy like...
The floor.
A guy like Tiger Woods, what's really interesting is there would be other people who'd be, I'm not saying at his level, but there'd be a lot of people who'd be at a similar level like that. But you stand them in front of 2,000 people on a tee and they're looking at it. That's it. They can't look at the ball. All they can think is the thoughts. So I guess it's probably a product of that as well. But I think it's definitely this thing where I do love it. I did love that wave. I got a couple that day. And I often go, I can't wait going, fuck, I'd love to be able to pursue that in my life and surf big waves and really big waves too. But then your other values kick in. Like, got a family that I love being here, they love being here. We definitely don't get those waves. And also at the end of the day, we talk about this a lot on our show. In any situation in life, you adapt to it. You know, you could create the most epic lifestyle you possibly want. You could be Kelly Slater himself, but eventually you just live in life.
You might not be
it's
happy.
like a holiday, isn't it? You go on holiday.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to live here, and then you live there, and you go, oh shit.
Exactly.
I think that comes to, it's kind of cheesy sometimes, but it's like the appreciation of what you've got, where you've got it, and it's always that idea that grass is always greener on the other side, and particularly when it comes to surfing. Like you were saying, should I be surfing tubes over there or surfing the mushburgers with mates and the right time? I'll take that over.
Great alliteration.
Crowded lineup at sort of, even I was down in San Sebastian a few, not with Ben Gravy and Cale Brock. They didn't call me to that party, but
you should have said we would have given you.
I know you've got Ben's number. Yeah, you're Bezzy's. But it's beautiful place, beautiful waves. But it was packed. It's enormously packed, and then the locals have got their corner. And would I trade that for Sidmouth? Food's good and the sunshine's good, but waves-wise, quiet waves with your pals is
this morning.
Yeah.
Literally 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
We were both in.
Yeah.
No one else in. 2 to 3 feet.
Don't say it. He wanted to surf today because he saw down the
Yeah,
road.
you
Okay,
should.
well, go
I
and
was
surf.
trying to get him to
Go
get
on the
you
surf
guys through
line
this
cam.
evening.
Look at
I don't want to know what I missed.
Yeah.
It was rubbish.
Come back
It
this
was-
weekend, though. There's waves this
was,
weekend.
It was all right. It was really good at the start.
Yeah.
The point is less about the actual waves, but there's Liam and I, and we call this all the time. We call it millionaire surfing.
Yeah.
Because you're in that moment, and you're thinking, God, we're always after more in life, but you have to, for your sanity, with how fucking short life is, have very regular moments. I hope increasingly so.
Yeah.
Moments of appreciation where you go, this is as good as it'll get. You're healthy. You're riding waves with your mate. And it was just you and I. And I think of those kind of moments. And as surfers, of course, we want more. Of course, we want better waves. You want bluer waves. You want warmer waves. You want it to be more pumping. You want to be on a better board, a different board.
A different mate.
A different mate. Yeah, exactly.
I was literally.
I knew he was
No,
waiting.
do you know
Come
what?
surfing with us, Mitch.
Do you know
You'll
what?
be fine.
I was literally
us,
about
Pete.
to
Come with
say. I was literally about to say. Actually, the percentage of time we spend surfing together, I think probably 70% of it is just us laughing.
Yeah.
I was going to say something nice, but
That's what you get for it.
We can't do that as blokes, though, can we? Sometimes
Nah,
we
you
can't
just
say
gotta
nice
take
things to each other.
I think like some people listen to these podcasts and it's like, oh, you can never be serious. I'm not a serious person. I cannot be serious about anything.
Yeah.
It's like everything. I find a lot of things very funny, and the stuff that doesn't come out my mouth that pops into my head would be like cancelled
Show
instantly.
ender. Show ender.
Think it, don't say it, as my
Yeah.
wife would say to me sometimes.
I'm thinking so fucking hard right now.
But yeah, no, I think what I've liked about like listening to your show and throughout the time you've done your show, because I think we started pretty much the same time.
And ads as well.
Yeah, and ads as well. Yeah, but I think what I've liked about listening to your show is like the fact that you've got the mindful element there, and you've always maintained like we're not the experts on this, but you've seen your journey go and trying things that work for you and trying things that don't work, and like you're not afraid to go, yeah, I'm going to try this, and then actually that don't work, I'm going to try this, and like looking for the sort of the perfect balance between surf life, work life, and I think I think it's shows and it's done well actually.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's kind of been the driver, really, is to have a lot of fun. You know, not for it to be like this heavy mindfulness kind of self-improvement bollocks that you get out there, but to be like relatable and fun and uplifting as much as it can be, but also kind of fairly, woo-woo and spiritual sometimes, and kind of connect all those dots between surfing and life and what everybody's going through, really, good and bad.
Yeah.
And to sort of have lots of light, but also not be afraid to sort of speak from the heart as well, and that's a challenge sometimes, isn't it? Because you've got other responsibilities and so on. But it's been a real like blast, and we're sort of living it really to try and improve our lives by surfing more and worrying less. Focusing on what Will was saying, like what's real wealth? You don't want to be the richest bloke in the graveyard, do you? But if you're the one who's caught the best waves, then you'd be smiling on your way to the pearly gates, kind of.
Well, there you go.
I'll take some of that cash, though.
I'll take some of it. Before I go, I'll take some of it. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. But the so some of the questions we've added in since last time we were here was, I don't know if we asked you last time, best and worst wave that you can remember. So best wave, worst wipeout.
Worst? Why? I don't know if this is. I'll answer this. Well, I've had two, and actually talk about Will's love of big waves. I think we went to Croyd, where you guys are staying, and
One of my attempts at killing Liam.
and Will, it was
It's a good place to do it.
Yeah, it's quite a good place.
thumping. It's like a red flag at most of the beach. It's thumping, and Will was like, "It's fine. There's only 4 people out."
There's a reason.
One of them's Andrew Cotton.
One of them's Andrew Cotton. I think that's the closest. Apart from another time we did a similar thing at Morganporth, which is in Cornwall, where I think that's the closest I've come to drowning in a way.
So you want to talk us through it? Wow.
So I borrowed a board from Will, which what was a 6'2" puddle jumper, which you don't want to surf at like low tide, macking.
It wasn't a 6'2", it was a 6'0".
6'0" crook. And I think
All
the
exaggerates.
first couple of big ones I duck dive, I just went back up and over the falls and hit the sand, and then popped up, tried to get back out the back. I was so thrashed. The only wave I really caught was coming back in, and I remember sitting on the sand when I got back and thinking, I'm never going surfing with Will Foster ever again in my life. You know? And I did a similar one at Morganporth, but the only difference was I stood on a weaver fish on the way out as well. So not content with it. Yeah, it was one of the worst days I've ever had surfing.
I love them days where, I mean, I literally call it duck dive or die, where you put more effort into duck diving than you've put into anything in your life, knowing if you get it wrong, you are done.
Yeah.
I love them days. You're like, shit, I can actually duck dive when I need to.
Absolutely.
When the pressure's on, you can make it work.
And then best waves. I know this is really, we probably, a combination of here, you know, some of the days like Will's talking about millionaire surfing, like they're the best days, you know, just, and there's too many of them to mention, but Saunton's been a favourite. Some of the classic days you get there, because it's such a cricket net wave, isn't it? It's kind of like you go and practice and there's lovely, forgiving, long walls, no matter how big it is. We've had a couple of days there that have just been off the charts good.
Do you think with those days of not the good days, because they never come as often as the bad days, but the days of your, like, when you're going, I'm never going surfing with Will again, they're like, in a way, they character build as well, because you know, right, actually I've been through that and that's bad. It doesn't look that bad out there.
Yeah, true.
You get that as well?
Yeah. If you survive it, like you say, I'm not dead.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I've been out in some waves and I'm like, I fucking shouldn't be out here. I shouldn't even be on the beach in this. And like, you come out of it and you go, oh, that's fucking stupid. But at least I know I can survive that.
Yeah.
That's, you know, as long as it's not that bad again, I'm all right.
Yeah,
but then if you didn't really catch, it's nice to, you know, I guess release that confidence element in yourself. But if you didn't really catch any waves, I'm sort of like, for me, what was the point? I've just gone out to float. I've gone out to survive. Yeah. And I've done survival in much harder places, not a place of enjoyment. So I want to be surfing it if I'm out in it, you know.
I'll show you a picture of Croyd after this. A day me and my friend Sam went out and I showed Mitch and he was like, oh my God. And I literally looked out, he paddled way out in front of me and I quickly went, yeah, I'm not fucking going anywhere near out there. I saw him get on a wave and look up and it was like, it was him and him again above him and it just came down on him and he came back in and he went, yeah, it's a bit big.
See, I've got no problem though in saying when it's too big, so I will just be like, I'm not getting in. Like, you can call that what you want, but I've got absolutely no problem with that. I remember a day down in, where do we go? Watergate Bay. Yeah. It's quite heavy on its day. And we all drove down. It was down for an army surfing competition. It was only a couple of years ago. And I think it was 4 of us in the van, right, as we drove down. And, you know, you can see it on the hill, can't you, as you come round before the hotel. Yeah. There was no one out, right? It was enormous. I mean, it was stupidly big. And I was like, I'm not getting in. The other 2 lads are like pretend frothing. Yeah. Salty Safa. And I can't remember who else it was. Martin, I think it was, like, called Martin. And another lad who was new to army surfing. And he was kind of... We didn't know him. I think we'd surfed with him once and we'd gone out and it was just sort of like probably a little bit worse than me and I'm not very good. So he was like them pretend frothing and I was like, he's not going out in that, surely not. So we done the car park and I was like, lads, I'll send the drone out. There's no way I'm going out in that. And I was surprised this other lad went out as well, right? So I'd gone down to the beach, came back up and the first 2, the 2 I knew, they were running on their way down, right? And I was like, I'm going to go grab the drone. So I was walking back up to the van. So they've gone down to the beach. I'm halfway up. And the other lad, I can't remember his name, he's now walking past me. And I was like, oh, shit, you're going in here? He's like, oh, it'll be fine. I said, right, okay. Yeah. Well, I said, I'll see you back down in a minute. Right, so I go up to the car park, get the drone, come back down. And by the time, and it's not far, is it, from where you park, back down, probably 2-minute walk. By the time I get back to the beach, he's on his way back up. And I'm already laughing. And he got up to me. I was like, don't even tell me. Let me tell you what I think happened. Now, you paddled out, a set came, you got mullered, and you realised it was way above your comfort zone. He went, close to that. He said, what I done was I caught up to them lads on the beach. He was probably 3 meters behind them paddling out, and the first bomb set came. They all scratched together, still probably 3 meters apart. They made it over the top. He got absolutely rinsed and got straight out. And I'm just like, just say no. Like, why do you need to? I guess fair play for having the bollocks to put yourself in there, but I'm like, that's a lot of effort to get drowned.
I would really say that's been one of the biggest things that you learn in surfing, for, you know, average to not great surfing as well, but is having, because there's a lot of, especially blokes, right, pretend frothing. Yeah, it's bravado, on, it's big. And half the people in the van are thinking, holy fuck, I'm not going out there. But the peer pressure forces you to do something that's beyond your sort of comfort zone and sometimes beyond your safety zone, right? Which is a real challenge. And I've got way better at that. Is saying, yeah, no, thank you.
Absolutely
I'm not up for that. And I just don't need to apologise to
You're
anyone.
going to get nothing out of that.
Yeah.
You're going to get nothing out of
Yeah.
that.
What about you, Will? Your best and worst?
So worst would be a wave nearby, because it surprised me. Like I've ridden waves around the world, in fairness, and in some quite large conditions occasionally, and like it's so random to think that the hold down of all hold downs was down the road, only about 3 or 4 miles away, and it just kind of it really shook me up, because it's sort of, I suppose, if you're going to put yourself in more critical waves on critical days, it was a big day. It's kind of slabbing. It was really heavy, and I just went arse over tit, because you're gonna stack it, and I got held down. I got held down on the floor of the ocean. It was like a sort of rock floor, like a slab floor, and I was thinking, okay, I'll get let up a few seconds. I'm getting pressed here, and I'll push off the floor, and we'll start heading back up. To make matters worse, I like to open my eyes in these situations too, because it kind of takes away the fear. You can actually see the surface and just like, right, eyes wide open. It's absolutely fucking black because the water where we live is quite dark anyway. But in particular, this day was a lot of runoff, and the water was just like literally like that. You couldn't see anything, so I can't see anything. So I'm then on the floor, can't see anything. I went for another jump, went another push. That ain't happening, and then I'm getting pulled actually along. I could feel my feet moving along the floor of the ocean, but still down. So the wave is kind of held me, and now it's sort of pulling me down the point. So I'm getting pulled down the point. It's getting on for a fair few seconds now. Maybe borderline second wave hold down set situation. So I'm like, I never in surfing have ever hit the panic button. I'm always pretty good at staying calm. I get to like my 10th second of a hold down. That's a long hold down, 10 seconds. But I've been there before. Just keep riding it out. Just spin round, take another spin. It will stop. Like just calm. Just try and work on that being in the moment. Just letting the body go real jelly. No fighting, right? And I got further and further down. And I've hovered at the button. Like my hand's been near it before a couple of times, but I've never like fully whacked it. Like fucking held it and smashed it like this. That day I did, and it still humbles me today to think that I actually smashed the panic button. But I got to probably about my 15th second, and I'm really borderline for like there's going to be another one quite soon, and I'm still not up, and I've got absolutely nothing in the tank, and I've been convulsing for probably 5 seconds. You know when you're really like convulsing. So I was kind of on the brink of taking in water. I really was close, and I went whack. And I found a new level of strength. Like you of course, it's amazing with survival situations, isn't it? Like you actually, you've got so much strength in your body if you want to produce it. Like people have these amazing stories of people being lifted out of cars and crazy stories. So I must have just produced this huge amount of energy that, thank God, it let me up, because maybe if it hadn't, I don't know what happened after. But finally, I haven't hit the panic button, just wrestled to the top, because my board was down with me. My board wasn't even letting me up. Like, it normally pops you up.
Yeah.
And I finally got up, took this humongous gulp of air, which was amongst all this foam. And I've gone like 70, 80 meters down the point, which is crazy. I can't believe how far I've gone underwater. And then I had to take myself off to the side. And again, I've never done this where I've kind of either A, paddled in, or B, just gone, look, I've got to stop, because I'm just psychologically, not physically I'm like, whatever. And I sort of just went to the side, and I just went to my breath. It's all we can do, isn't it? Like, I'm alive, to go to the breath, right? I'm here. So I went to the breath, and I just calm my breathing. And I've always seen and listen, this might be just my own view, but I'm sure it's shared by a few people. I'm a very spiritual person. And I believe that the universe takes us into situations for a reason. And it took me there to that reason to just really wake me up. And not because it's like, oh, you're not supposed to be out here, but just to really wake me up. Because in that surf, I wasn't having a great surf. I was sort of struggling. I was not really making the pocket. I wasn't making the barrel. I was getting flogged a few times. And I feel like it was the universe just giving me a fucking huge whip in the ass. Just say, mate, wake up. Get focused. We're not here to damage you, but just want to get you to focus more. This is my own little view. Some people be like, mate, you almost died. Fine. That's fine. It's up to other people. Went back out, calmed everything down and started getting some bombs, and it was an unbelievable surf. It's still to this day the best I've ever seen that wave in that area. So it was amazing stuff. But I think, so in a way, in that one single session, I think I had my best and my worst, because the very next wave was like probably the longest ride I've ever caught, and did 6, 7, 8 cutbacks. It's just a huge wave there if it goes well. And it was an unbelievable set. And this whole session after that was just mind-blowing. So I think it's probably all in one surf, was that one sesh.
I'd be happier with the universe just putting like a sponsored ad on my feed. I don't need to be held down there like that.
Yeah, no. Listen, I wouldn't ever want anyone to go through that. I mean, I think that really was the one where I think it could have certainly psychologically made me never want to go in big waves again, for sure. But I've got a mind that's quite... I'm generally quite a brave person. I've always been able to put my head in the spokes. Even from a very young age, like, let's say 9 years old, we was about starting to do contact, and everyone was ducking out the way of certain blokes running. And there was always this one bloke we used to play against from Exmouth, and I swear he had a massive bush of pubes at the age of like 10 years old. He was one of the...
Is that what we run at you with?
Yeah.
Pubes out.
Pubes were right, exactly. But he's running at everyone, and every time we play Exmouth, I'll be the first bloke to run at him. So I actually physically run at. So I think whenever I'm facing a situation where I've got to be brave, I find myself being braver than I would have thought I could have been from before. And I think it's just because I sort of I like the test. I love that challenge.
So if anybody wants to sponsor Will to do NAS next mate.
If you're listening and you want to get me on there, then I'll give it a crack.
I'll do the radio on the
yeah.
See, how long ago was that hold down?
That was now a good 3 years ago, probably.
Because I think
that was during lockdown when he shouldn't have been out anyway. So
it probably was around lockdown, actually.
No, because I think, and I wonder the follow-up question here, but similar thing I had won't be nearly as big a wave, but I think we remember measuring it at 13 foot, right? 2-wave hold down in the Hebrides, and I shouldn't have been in that wave to start with, right? But it's the wave, same thing, calm, then I'm not calm. Why is it not letting me up? But I now, if I have even a small hold down at the start of a session, and this actually ties into my irrational fear of bigger waves. So if I have a small hold down at the start of a session, it puts me back in that place and actually sets my surfing back a few steps for the whole session. So I wonder if you have that from that, or if you're able just to move on.
I would if I didn't have my practices, 100%, because for I suppose the best part of 15 years I've been meditating religiously in the morning, in the evening, and during the day, and to the point where I just sit and practice it like a Buddhist monk would sit. No, not for 8 hours a day, nothing close. But without that, 100%, 100%, because of course I can spot when I'm being triggered by my mind, not by the event, because the event happens first. Our mind has the print that takes place, the mind, the perception we talked about earlier, and then the response in the body. I can notice so quickly the triggers starting, but because I'm observing them through practice, they're passing already. Because the temporary nature of thoughts and feelings. So I think with the breath, without the breath and the calming nature of the breath and the ability to observe triggers and how unconscious they are, because all they are is the past living itself within us in the present, which of course is not real. It's the only thing that's real is now. And so by just having a practice of bringing presence into the moment and being able to observe the moment and being with the breath calms the body down, and then the mind skill, I think, is over many, many years of just meditating. So I think that anyone listening, I think it's that thing where if you ever want to improve how you perceive surfing in more heavy situations, it'll be to have a meditation practice for sure, a breath practice.
What Mitch, I'm interested in though as well is, you having, a bit like Ads, having stepped on, something more serious than waves when you're out in places that are more dangerous than probably, even Croyd at 6 foot, that you take that, I'd expect you to be charging big waves and saying, so do you think there's an element that there's triggers that take you back to that place in waves? Did you have that fear before you went to Afghanistan?
I mean, I didn't surf. I can thank Afghan for me surfing when I came back from Afghanistan when I first started surfing. So it was this really hand-in-hand thing, which really helps me cope with everything. I'm not saying I sit awake at night just sitting in a corner rocking myself to sleep crying. That's for other reasons, nothing to do with Afghan.
He makes me film those ones.
But I think I I think when you learn a skill as an adult,
Yes.
you inevitably see the worst in stuff. Like I think if I started surfing as a kid, I wouldn't have any dramas in any waves, probably. But I don't know. I think 'cause I had quite a bad experience quite quick into it. I've not been able to really get over it, and I don't really know what it is. It's why I refer to it as irrational. I don't know. Like I know I've thrown myself over the lip on much bigger things in life. But it's a hard one to really gauge, because I was going to say I put myself in them positions in Afghan, but at the same time I put myself in that position in the ocean. It's funny because I strapped I done a thing for GoPro a few years ago during some crazy storm, and I surfed a foamy off the side of Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh, by the castle. Fucking vertical. And I happily threw myself down that, and I was like, if that was a wave, even a 16th of the size, I probably wouldn't even have put my wetsuit on. So I don't know what the crossover is. I don't really know. And even yesterday, there's something I've been working on my surfing. I've been able to do it offshore, so I've got repetition, perfect waves, right? And it's in my pop-up, and I think I've finally unlocked the key to my own pop-up. And even on the first wave, although it was only shoulder to head high yesterday, but it was really mellow. But in the first few waves, you don't know it's mellow until, because I've not had to duck dive yet, so I didn't know. So in the first one I take off on, I just see that bit of size, and I go back into that mindset of probably that very hold down. So I don't know what the thing is here. I know I'm just going on a waffle tangent.
No, it's interesting.
What you've experienced, Mitch, is in my practice as a PT and also mindfulness coach. I've seen what's happened to you, millions of times, and it's unbelievably normal. And it's really funny because, of course, in my life, we've all experienced trauma in some way, whether to a lesser or greater degree. But it would have affected me in other ways in parts of my life. Now it just hasn't, in particular, affected that part of my surfing life. But I would have experienced, let's say, other things, let's say in childhood around another subject of life, but it would find itself developing trauma and trigger, therefore, in my current day-to-day life that's just in a different area of life. So that's why there's never really any comparison. You're just dealing with your own experiences always. All of us are. And so, whenever we look over the fence and look at how people are dealing with their things, it's so unique to them, and it'll be so unique to you. But what's the most encouraging thing of all is how unbelievably honest and transparent you are about your triggers and trauma and situation. I think that is the most admirable thing. I think, and therefore, in that, you develop not less but more confidence.
And it helps other surfers.
It massively helps other surfers.
You want to man up, man.
That's
what we used to get told on it.
No, Mitch, I think it's brilliant that you talk about it really articulately. So you can tell that you're very involved in the journey of mindfulness and your being with yourself. I think it's wonderful.
There you go.
Take notes, Pete.
Don't tell him that.
He's going to
think he knows something and everyone else doesn't.
Something I am very aware of, though, is that, so I ride motorbikes, right? I'm not a biker because I don't ride like an arsehole, and this is actually relevant to the point. If I decide I'm going to go to work on my motorbike or my van, I am getting to work quicker when I go in my van, because I just ride my motorbike like I'm on a push bike. Like I'm not racing about it because I think I see this thing in my head of, because I know what I have survived. If I was to go kill myself doing something as stupid as driving like a bell end on a motorbike, I want to come back to life and punch fuck out of myself because I deserve it. So maybe, I don't know, I think I'm well aware of that scenario that could go, because it goes wrong really quick, doesn't it? And in the surf, on a motorbike, whatever it is. So maybe I'm trying to avoid, but I also know that sometimes you just got to take a leap and just go for it.
There is that.
Maybe that you wouldn't have got to surfing 4 times overhead without surfing double overhead.
It's been great. Oh, of course, mate. I've definitely had to go over the full and take leaps. I think it's definitely, but it's also, I think within our characters, we're born the way we're born as well. That's a very interesting topic. We can nurture our characters best we can, but we're also born the way we're born. And I think that with the past lives conversation going on, and it gets very spiritual, that this idea of we've been either past animals or past lives.
It's not even just that, it's because your parents and grandparents passed down some sense of fear as well, right? About what,
big time.
There's a report into passing down in genes as well.
Epigenetics, I think.
Big time.
There's stuff now that they, like, if your father or grandfather was afraid of something, you could be afraid of it for no reason.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Well, it's the same.
Totally, it's what we're talking about.
I got into surfing, really, I was a swimmer. I was a good swimmer, and I went to live in Australia. I didn't surf in Australia, but when I came back, I got into it. But one of the reasons I was pushed to swim so much is because my mum's uncle, when he was about 16, had drowned. They were all up the northwest coast of Ireland. And so I think that sort of fear and that trauma, my mother has always given me that, you got to swim, you got to be careful of the water.
Right.
She's still, I'm 49 years old nearly, and she's still like, stay where I can see you. And she's blind as well. She can't see anybody. She can't even see. So, but that sort of is almost an example of that generational fear. You think, why am I scared of big waves? Maybe. Well, maybe it's just that kind of thing that gets just pushed down the generations in a way, and you just sometimes don't know where it comes from until you do that kind of research.
And it's accepting ourselves, I think, within that journey. It's so important. It's being kind to ourselves. Yes, take leaps and let's push ourselves at the same time to try and find that balance, obviously, because that's where the joy really exists, is not staying too far behind the comfort zone. But at the same time, if you are going beyond the comfort zone and it's continually taking you out of the flow and out of the joy, again, why, like you were saying earlier, Mitch, why take yourself for a flogging? I think that's a very important step in that.
And it's was it Shakespearean or biblical, to thine own self be true kind of thing, and there's nothing is, push yourself for the joy of going out of a comfort zone, but at the same time, don't do something that you don't like just to impress other people.
Yeah, it's for you, not for everyone else.
I think the thing, I realise we're running out of time because you've got clients to see soon. So that's all right. We'll come in and get them seated, join them in. I think, like what you said about like your meditation stuff, I think, I'm not saying you should do this, but it's like it might be an idea, because I think a lot of people struggle, or a lot of people I've spoke to have struggled with the idea of meditating or how to do it. Maybe like on one of your episodes, tack on to the end of it a guided meditation of like 10 minutes or something of I think, because a lot of people I've spoken to before goes, I've tried meditating but I can't do it, or I've tried this, and even down to like Andy from Andy Haddon from Lost Shore, and he was saying, and I never told him the way that I found you can do it afterwards. I've tried loads of different ways that I've heard, and there's only ever been one way that I found that I can do it, which relates to breath and how you're concentrating on what you're thinking about. But it's something that a lot of people just really struggle with. So I think when they hear, it's like if you don't understand something, like we were talking about, you only know what you know. If people can't understand it, as soon as you start talking about it, they're like, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't get that."
Very good point. There's a lot of big myths out there about meditation, what it is, and all the ideas of sort of the lotus position and the candles and wearing the robes and making sure you only eat fucking lentils and bollocks like that. And it's all nonsense, because it's beyond simple. It's the simplest thing we could possibly do. It's just being aware of your breathing, and that's it. And notice when your mind has skipped off to not being aware, and that's it. That is all meditation is. It's coming back to being aware again, and then going back off to non-awareness and coming back. And that is literally all it is. And people say, yeah, but I want to get really good at just being aware. And I'm like, no, that's not meditation. It's just like surfing. You don't go to surf to have great surfs that's ridiculous. But you go to surf just because you want to surf. And in meditation, it's exactly the same. You're not going to be aware in every single moment of that meditation. You're going to skip off into thinking and not realize you're thinking about other things. And that's the whole point of unconscious thinking. You don't know you're doing it.
It's a bit of a catch-all as well. Will's a kind of meditation coach, but I think it's personal to every person.
Yeah.
And it's more, for me, coming from the kind of busy stress work kind of vibe, building stuff and kind of focusing on all that shit for so many years. It's more about being, it's not even, this idea of quietening the mind and getting thoughts out of your mind. It's more about sitting with yourself as comfortably as you can and being happy in that kind of sense of presence and even boredom. It's getting used to being able to not be distracted, even if the things that are going through your mind, it's not this kind of like lullabies and tweets of birds.
I'll welcome you into my head for 24 hours. Yeah, if it's be like, fuck is this place?
but I think that's the thing. Even if it's Slipknot, in banging away in between your ears, or kind of any kind of thrash metal kind of thing, as long as you're have an awareness that your mind isn't just kind of going to all these other external places, that you try and get really comfortable with. That sounds woo-woo, doesn't it? You get really comfortable with yourself. And that is, I think, one of the hardest things that any human being can do. And that's why surfing is the hack. It's a cheat code to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It is. And it's what we've stood for as a show, that the mindful surfer, we really wanted to bring forward a message that yes, it's about working on your body. Of course, that's half the game.
Yeah.
But the other half, that is the most missed half of all, is how are you as a person? You know, who do you respond best with in terms of who you surf with? You know, what waves are most suited to your personality and your evolution? You know, how are you influenced by crowds when you surf? And and that's just 3 of like another 1,000 nuances. But every single one of those nuances are your mind affecting your ability, your ability for your body to perform. So I think if any surfer wants to ever just get more joy from the sport, and therefore better, because of course they're inextricably linked, it's to get to know yourself. If you don't know yourself and your tendencies and your triggers and how your breathing goes and where your mind flips off to, if you're not aware of all that kind of stuff, you are massively going to hit a ceiling in surfing. And it's not just a ceiling in performance. That's not what we're saying. It's a ceiling in joy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be the bloke who gets pissed off very, very easily all the time and starts blaming, oh, it's the fucking waves, oh, it's the fucking board, oh, it's the people, oh, I can't get out of work, I can't. And you become one of these people who is that moaning surfer, that what we call the shitwave police.
The shitwave police. And the whole philosophy of the show, really, even sort of get that mindfulness bit out of the way in some respects, is that Will and I will say, are we still having a good time? Are we winning? You know, does this feel good? Are we having fun? Yeah. And that's anything. That's surf, life, work.
Yeah.
Which what inspires us to record the show.
Yeah.
Liam and I have had this thing with each other. But look, if we're still enjoying it, we're going to record it.
Yeah.
You
Same with
guys,
you boys.
like, if we were to do a comparison of shows, you guys are like very highbrow, like a New York independent broadsheet, and we're like some column in page 3 of the Daily Sport.
Yeah.
We're just talking about pissing in wetsuits, and you're giving actual advice.
You got to listen to your show.
Yeah, we talk a lot about pissing in wetsuits.
I nearly brought you a trimmer so you never get them stuck again. You know?
Yeah, Will's
Mate,
got a very unhealthy or healthy obsession with Rob Machado's pubic hair.
I heard that.
And it started with Charlton Knott.
Yeah.
So Bobby Charlton, right, 1960s footballer, very famous, had 2 strings of hair that he combed over his bald head, right?
Yeah.
My mate sees my dick after a surf. Now, that's just what mates do sometimes. He sees my knob. He goes, mate, you got Charlton Knott. I said, what the hell is Charlton Knott? He said, oh, Bobby Charlton. It's the pubes. They're stuck in your bell end. It's like your bell end's his scalp. So forever and ever from that moment onwards, I was like, for fuck's sake, I cannot get Charlton Knott ever again. I've got to trim my pubes back. So I started trimming my pubes. And then every time I took my wetsuit on and off, I never got my dick caught in my pubes. I started thinking, God, man, do you know what? There's one message that the world needs from this podcast, and it's fucking not mindfulness. It's not meditation. It's not eat better. None of this shit. Trim your pubes.
And don't piss
You
in your
will not
wetsuit.
catch them in your wetsuit.
Yeah, definitely don't shit in your
And
wetsuit.
don't shit in your suit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you ever come across Shitty Foster, you know that's his name.
There you
now.
go. There you go.
That break is still known as the other back door.
Oh,
Hey.
And you better do your final question because I think there's good ones to answer it.
Yeah, right. Before I ask this question, you were talking about your brothers. They all surf. Who's the best surfer out of all the brothers?
2 of them don't surf anymore, so you can't even say that there's a comparison.
Can see where this is going.
Because one only foils, the other one foils 95% of the time, and the eldest brother is not so old now. I haven't seen. Well, he's getting on for Liam's age. He's proper grandpa. No, he's what is he, 57, maybe 50? Yeah, I haven't surfed for Rich.
So
for
this is your
20
roundabout way
years.
without saying you.
In a roundabout way, I'm the only one who really surfs as much as as anyone else. So I've got to say myself.
They're a lot better looking though.
They are better. They are better looking.
So-
and they live in warmer countries as well.
So I am, let's for argument's sake, I'm 6 foot tall. Okay, I'm just cracking into a bottom turn on a wave, right? And I've got terrible technique. In this bottom turn, I happen to be stood fully erect. My back is straight, my knees are locked out. The bottom of the board is at the bottom of the wave, right in the trough. Top of my head, I'm 6 foot tall, is in line with the lip, exactly in line with the lip. In feet, how big is that wave? Let's start with you, Liam.
Well, I'd say that's a 6 foot wave if you're eye to eye with a lip. Face. Yeah.
3 foot.
That's a Y-Enska.
And it's great.
Just half it.
It's
Just
well,
half it.
Why?
Just
though?
half it.
Why?
Because it's fucked
So were
up.
you surfing 60 foot waves when you were out? When you're that hold down, was it 60 foot wave? No, sorry. In Portugal, was it 60
the
foot?
Portugal way. No. Because I'm just.
Well, you said
I'm
20, so that
I'm
means
being tongue in
60.
cheek because I agree with him. On a
Yeah.
serious note, I absolutely agree with Liam. when I was talking about those waves in Portugal, they were absolutely like what you were talking about. So they were like measurable feet upon the actual face of the wave, not the silly, the Hawaiian stuff. But the reason I wanted to do the tongue in cheek is because with my brothers, oh my god, the Hawaiians take it to like we'll be looking at actual 6 foot waves, and they'll be like, oh, it's 1 to 2 foot. Like they really take it. But that's a Hawaiian tradition to take it way, way, way down. Jamie O'Brien, when he's with Ben Gravy, he's talking to Ben Gravy, he's like, mate, it's flat and it's like fucking double over edge sort of thing. So I don't know why they do it like that. But no, I'm with him. I go with just feet on the face.
I like your way of doing that. And next time you see a Hawaiian, they go, oh, I want a 6 foot board. Just give them a 2 foot board. And go, there you go.
There you go. Exactly.
What? 6 foot?
Yeah.
Give it a wipe and it's fucking clean.
And then do you want to do a new one we've got?
I don't like it.
Come on.
I don't like
Come
it.
on, Pete.
So the question was, you've just got the wave of your life.
Yeah.
And someone has got a photo sequence of it. Say you've accidentally done something in there that you've got the deepest barrel and just by chance
kind of photo.
come out of the other end. But by posting this photo or video, it's going to blow up a spot which isn't
But it's
so
the
well
best
known.
surf photo or video that's ever happened.
Well, I'm going to say the right thing. I wouldn't blow up a spot just for the sake of a video. I know it
Will's
feels...
looking at you like, what the fuck?
I'm weighing it up.
You
Weighing
got
it up.
marketing.
No, I wouldn't blow it up.
Yeah.
You've got the best barrel of your life. You've gone so deep.
You can
like,
do
you know
some
those barrels where
clever
they go so
jiggery
deep and it
pokery
looks
with
like
the
they're not
footage.
coming out, and then they come out the other end of it.
Well, I'm nowhere near getting to that level anyway, so I already know that it, figuratively speaking, ain't happening. But if it did, I'd have to keep it a secret for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
See, this is the thing.
My life wouldn't be, especially around this area, my life wouldn't be worth living.
We'd show you two though. We'd be like, have you seen? Check that out.
You'd show mates, yeah.
See, I think
so that'd be enough in a way.
I wouldn't put it on the
Pete's
Facebook.
Leaning towards not asking this is because everyone's saying the political answer. I think as soon as these mics are off, we have the same conversation. It's probably a different story.
I think that's the thing. I keep getting political answers on it. It's like, no, I definitely wouldn't. But like, maybe you wouldn't share it on the Mindful Surfer page, but would you share it on your own page?
Well, that's different. That's more nuanced. Yeah, I'd share it with Liam and a couple of mates. Yeah,
I'd sort of WhatsApp it maybe to the. But I mean, I don't do social media really, apart from the Instagram that we have. And
Tintin.
Tintin, yeah. Don't do it. No. So, but would I share it? No. It's all It's only in there anyway, isn't it? Really?
Okay.
There you go. Then.
Well,
I think
what a pleasure.
We've waffled on. We've kept you long enough. You go straight on to clients now. So
straight on to a piss first, then clients.
Well, there you go.
Marvellous.
Let's. If you're around at the weekend, come and have a. There might be waves Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
I'll be around.
We saw Bantham today. Looked like it was going quite well as well.
Pumping at Bantham today.
Don't want to know.
No. So, the tides aren't great there, so don't worry about it.
If anybody wants to find you guys, where can they find you online? If you want to check you out.
Well, Instagram is @the Mindful Server, and then podcast any reputable platform, Spotify, Apple, smart speakers, whatever.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, good. Cheers for having us, boys.
Bye.
Alexa, off. Well, cheers for that, guys. Super welcomed in the garage space we were set up in, and it was a really nice welcome as well when you arrived. Seems like you two went a long way back.
Yeah. No, do you know what? It was actually really good. I forgot, first time, obviously me and Leighton went to there to meet them, and because we started at pretty much the same time, us, Mindful Surfer and the Grumpy Surfer podcast all started at the same time, and I think it was a time when there was no UK surfing podcasts around, so it was really nice, and we've just all got on it's never been like a big competition or anything like that. It's just we've always chatted to each other. I mean, I've helped them out a few times when they've had audio problems and stuff like that, and it's just been great. And got thanked on their show for that. But we should talk about some of the stuff that was mentioned in there, which was firstly that Will said, Mitch has got his snake tattoo on his face for snaking me on the best right of the day, and we went through that, and everybody in the room, obviously, as you just heard, agreed with me that Mitch was a massive snake.
I'm confident that wasn't the case, but continue.
I'm confident that was the case, and I think something that's is something we've talked about afterwards, but relates to that episode as well, which was the fact that we were talking about it in that episode, but you've said it afterwards, and it's getting comfortable on a surfboard, and then that thing we were talking about in there is like when you feel like at one with the wave and everything goes quiet. And you said you had that wave where you went to St Andrews and you went to the other beach and you got a really good wave and like nobody saw it and stuff like that. But I think that thing you said the other day was about, I think you said something about, you know, you felt that thing of just like feeling at one as you were moving.
It was like I was on rails,
connected. Yeah, and I think that like the more I think about that of what you were saying is the more comfortable you become in the surf, the more you get that feeling more and more and more. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but maybe I'll come on to this later. But
why? Because you're gonna just literally contradict that completely.
No.
Happened to
it's
you.
just that is literally what we spoke about it on a recent episode. You know, I have been. I've been surfing well above my ability recently, thanks to surfing at Lost Shore a lot. But the last couple of days, today I had two doorstep surfs, and yesterday I had a doorstep surf. And
is that the one I sent you the message? You just looks like you went for a lunchtime paddle.
Yes. Let's come to it after we talk about the episode, because I was not in my comfort zone and I was not connected to rails.
Do you know what also ties that together was with the guys was you had just tested out for the first time twin fin parrot from Tiki, so I take it that'll be on your test bit later on. That you were talking about.
It certainly will. And I was listening to one of their episodes when I was driving back from my favourite spot in Scotland, listened to recently, Mindful Surfer episodes, and they were chatting about the like a magic board. You know, is there such a thing as a magic board, like a one go-to board? And I feel like I discovered that in my helium mashup, Firewire, Mitch, and Mitch. But I've also moved away from that board now. I've started sort of riding my rocket wide quite a lot because I'm experimenting with my boards now at Lost Shore, because I think it's a sensible thing to do now that I'm literally doing the same turns. You know, it's kind of not exciting anymore because I'm just doing the same thing and I can't really get it bigger or better. That's going to come with time. So I'm just mixing up the equipment. But that mashup... I was going to
say, you blaming the board or the surfer at the moment for that?
No, it's definitely me. But that mashup, honestly, was a board that... And I remember saying this before, but it was a board that I felt like it made me surf above my ability. There was just something about it. It was like, I don't know, that and a combination of the H4 fins that I use. It just felt like the board wanted to do what it should do, and I was just along for the ride at times, and it wasn't really me doing it. So I feel like there is such a thing, but then at the same time, I guess you progress, you regress. It's the nature of surfing, so there's never this sort of constant line of progression, is there? So I've moved away from that board, trying other things, which is quite cool. But certainly for the last 2 years, I feel like I've had a one board quiver. So it was really interesting to chat to them.
I mean, every time I see them, they're so like nice and welcoming. Like, and every time I speak to either of them, they're always like, it's like catching up with an old friend that you haven't seen for ages, and they're just like really, you know, I'll probably leave and they go, well, he's a fucking prick, isn't he? I know they definitely said that about you.
Well, that's the DMs that have gone back and forth, but no, it was really cool. They were really nice, really friendly. Would love to have had a surf with them. Probably wouldn't have been fussed about surfing the waves that would have been out charging. He sounds like a proper charger. I think he's another
of those ones he's been on.
Another one of them that will refer to himself as an average surfer and make us average surfers just look like beginners or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but see, that's gonna happen to you, mate, soon. If you carry on surfing at Lost Shore, that's going to be you going, oh yeah, I'm an average surfer, and people are going to be, fuck off, are you prick?
Yeah, and I'm going to play on it. I can't wait for it.
You fucking will as well.
So,
So yeah, go on then. So I suppose, well, we'll go back because, as we said, Tiki sponsored the whole Devon edition. They sponsored us financially for it by giving us money to pay for the Airbnb and like getting about all over Devon and everything. And as we said, there's a discount code for them, which is
UK Surf Pod, which will get you 10% off anything but boards. And just because Pete mentioned it, he did pay us financially for the trips for Airbnb and whatever, but it wasn't enough money to fund the heating in the Airbnb, which refused to have heating. So we were sat. If you're new to this show, there's a video somewhere, I'll try and overlay it, and I am literally sat underneath a wetsuit dryer using it as a heater. I've got it underneath a kitchen cabinet, a high kitchen cabinet. I'm just sat on the floor. It was so cold in there. It was horrendous.
Well, I was going to say, on the Tiki as well, you say about the discount code, they did send across today. They've got a load of new Santa Cruz, Dickies, Rip Curls, Columbia and Future Fins at the moment, and your discount code will get you money off all of those. And as we're talking, I'm just realising, if you're watching on YouTube and my camera's slowly moving down or changing angles or anything, it's because my
admin is up your arse.
This is why I didn't reply to anybody. You know, Mitch said it was blissful. He didn't hear from me for a few days, and my phone literally blew up, and I got a new one. But now I've got no quad lock case to hold it on the mount, which I was using to film with, and I might give Mitch a little front camera one for this episode.
You definitely won't, and excuses over. But yeah, I got a surf the last couple of days on my doorstep, which I'm pretty buzzing about. There's been a huge easterly swell where I live here. Faces east. It faces east, and normally when we get an easterly swell, we also get an easterly wind, which is quite frustrating. It's quite a rare set of conditions for it to work here, but it's been big swells due to that wind. And I think I've actually now surfed every day since Sunday, but most days have been quite horrendous. In fact, I did get to surf a new spot in Big Swanee. Think one of the most listened to episodes, Swanee. Think definitely from the Scotland edition. I'm not sure. Is that right?
Yeah, that's just by Swanee and his friends just keep listening to it.
So huge shout to him. I surfed his doorstep spot, which I've been wanting to do for a while. That was super fun. I've had the 20 out on every single session so far. But yesterday,
how's that been then? Tell us.
I surfed it once at Lost Shore. I'm gonna start. I just took it out. It was like a sort of quiet staff session, so I just took it out just so I had like I just wanted like no pressure and just go enjoy it, and it was super fun. Yeah. But again, I want to surf it in the ocean on a clean day, just to see what it's all about, because I want me to
not like your video yesterday then.
Well, this is where I'm going. So yesterday, I don't know, it was a 6 to 8 foot swell, which is underhead, of course, because if you're under 6 foot and it's 8 foot, it's underhead. Well, let's not get into wave size. It was massive, right? But as always, and I speak about it a lot, I am 3 floors up on the beachfront of this spot of surf, and when nobody else surfs it, it's impossible.
Can I just guess something? That you underestimated the wave size from your house.
110%. I knew it was chest high. I didn't realise it was head and a half.
Whose chest?
I didn't realise it was head and a half on some of the sets. Yeah. So, but I knew I was taking the 20 out. I know I can duck dive it. It's a 6'2" twin parrot from TK. Know I can duck dive it. Know I can catch a wave on it. So I was like, right, okay. When I walked out, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I've done it again. Every time, right? But it was right in front of the house, so it was like changed in the flat, walk across, which is an absolute dream. Paddle out. And I remember being out. Honestly, in these.
Do you remember it like it was yesterday?
I remember it like it was. I remember it like it was just now. But genuinely, I can't remember the last time I was sat in the water and 2 sets rolled through, which I scratched over the top. And I think I might have said it out loud. Definitely said it in my head, but I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to be back in the flat. It, honestly, mate, it was monstrous. And the other element to this is, I've said this quite a lot to mates and people I work with recently. I think this spot out here is, well, I don't think, it is the heaviest spot I have ever surfed. With the exception of Croyd, but I've only surfed Croyd on a small day, so I don't know what I can only imagine what that's like, right? It's heavier than putts. It's mad. And it's funny because when I mention that to people that surf, I guess, Scottish spots, I almost think it's an arrogance, because people are like, what? There? No, because they surf Thurso and whatever, and they surf heavy slabs and stuff. I'm like, this is a beach break. Like, just don't be so ignorant. Like, I'm telling you, it's the heaviest spot I have surfed. Like, you're not taking that away from me, because basically what you're hearing in your head is there's a spot that doesn't break very often, which nobody really believes gets surf, and it's heavier than anywhere you surf. That's what they're hearing. It's almost like a one-upmanship, and it breaks me.
Do you know what? It's perfect bringing it back to the episode we just had, was because it all goes back to ego, doesn't it? You know, it's someone's own ego thinking you've told them something about something they do that they don't know, and a lot of people can't handle that and get like really, about it. You know, like,
it's true. They just sort of look at you like I don't know, you've just insulted their mum. It breaks me, but anyway. You come and surf it on a bigger day, and you'll know, but or don't. I'd rather you didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I caught one okay right, and then one sort of mediocre left, and I was like, right, it's hitting the seawall and the steps. It hits the wall. There's a massive long sort of promenade wall. It hits that wall a quarter of the way into after low tide. When it hits the wall, it's at its best. But then when it gets to mid-tide, especially if it's a bigger surging day, the staircases that lead down, they're not like straight into the water, they're on an angle. And it's actually really difficult to get out. Like I've been picked up by a wave and I've tried to time it, and I've been slammed on the metal railings before, and I had to paddle miles around to the harbour, which I didn't want to do. So I was like, right, it's getting high.
I bet that's bloody painful as well.
It was brutal. But it's funny because I was like, you throw your board over the wave out the way, accepting that you're going to get battered, but you're like, not the board. So.
Yeah. No,
that was fun.
I'm just glad you got hurt. That was all I was aiming for in that bit. Yeah. I was glad it hurt you.
So that was fun anyway. One session, nice to get it on my doorstep. But again, woke up this morning, looked smaller. It was a little bit cleaner. I was like, all right, cool. And it was an hour earlier when I got in the water than it was yesterday. So I was like, cool. I've got time to surf a little bit longer and get back out before it gets too high. Got in.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, I don't know how it was a smaller swell today, but it was definitely bigger in the water. And I remember I paddled out, and same thing. I was like, "Fuck, this is too much. It's too much." And I think it was the first duck dive. I always talk about. I always paddle out the middle. Like I'm not going to go walk miles to the left, paddle out, and then paddle to the right. I'm just route direct. And if I can't make it out back, I shouldn't be there in the first place.
I want to come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, right. So I know where you're going with that, and that's rubbish. But anyway, I paddled out, right, and it was the same thing, duck dive or die. Them days you really refine your duck dive. You've got no choice to.
Yeah.
And I came out, I made it through, but I was like, this is horrible. Like I shouldn't be. Nobody's coming for me. This isn't a place. This isn't a beach town. It's a town with a beach.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking at me going, oh, that guy. They're looking at me wondering what they can take off me when my body gets washed up to shore. And I caught a really nice left. It was super fun, and it wasn't fun because it was big and it was clean or anything like that. It was fun because the arsehole just kept falling out of this wave. So I'm going left, and it was just, just get a hole opens up in front of the wave. I was just doing that, and sort of like, I guess it was small, but I was like just dropping in and landing it, and then it would happen again. I'd done it like 2 or 3 times, and I was like buzzing. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm still alive. The tide had got higher really quickly, and I had to fight my way out. So I got out, but this is what I wanted to chat about. I got back in for a second session once it was dropping out a bit. And it was so odd, and you might need to help me with this one, because it might not make sense, but I hope to someone they go, I know exactly what you mean. It's been a howling onshore wind for days, right? That's why we've got bigger swell. The wind had died off quite a bit, right? And the water surface just became really glassy, right? But there was so much water moving, it was howling. So it was glassy, but it was also howling at the same time, which is really odd. Does that make any amount of sense?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I knew you'd say that. I knew you would say that.
No, I do know what you mean. I've been out when it's been glassy faces, but the wind's been. It's just I think it must be something like if the wind's in the right direction, it's just hitting the face of the water in the right way and.
No, but not even on the face. I'm talking about when when there was sort of flat periods, the surface tension was really smooth, but there was so much water moving round in all directions. Like it wasn't like breaking the surface and causing like real sort of chop. but there was just water moving everywhere. So it was just really odd. Like, it was a bit surreal.
It's probably just Nessie swirling underneath you.
Could have been. There's another
know.
racist
But
comment.
I know
Peter.
if you go any more detail of where you surf out the front of your house, you may as well just put a pin on Google Maps and just like send everyone your address.
Yeah, true.
You literally, yeah. If I look out my flat and the seawall's there and this is there, you're asking for
It's
trouble.
funny actually, because people message me all the time and like, what's it like there? What's it like there? But normally by the time they've messaged, I've been in, so I can say what it's like. But if they're like newbie surfers and they're messaging and I've not been in, going, oh, what's it like? I'm thinking of taking a 9-foot foamy out, and I'm like, oh, it's knee high, and they arrive and it's double overhead. That could cause a problem.
But I was having a conversation with someone the other day and about your paddling straight out and not using rips, and like everyone's under the same everyone's come to the same conclusion that you're a fucking moron for this reason.
Here we go.
Fair enough. If you can paddle out, and that's your theory is you can paddle out and you can get there and you can make it out, you're entitled to surf there. But the amount of energy that you will waste,
Disagree.
which is more time you can spend in the water surfing.
Disagree completely. Because
Why do you disagree?
after your first wave, you're going to have to paddle back out of it anyway, straight out the middle, unless you're telling me you're getting out, walking 100 metres up the beach, paddling out and then paddling back along. You've only got to do it once, and I'm not having it.
Back to the rip.
You're telling me I'm going to paddle 3 times the distance going round the rip, and I'm going to have more energy than I would if I just went straight through it and took a couple of duck dives. I'm not having
it.
It depends where it is. It depends
do you know
on.
what I want to do? I want to take you to Saunton on a big day when you can use the rip and not use the rip, and you just watch the difference, and you'll be like, after about the 4th wave, you'll be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll use the rip.
Right. Saunton's obviously the only example of that being stupid. Like, of course, you have to paddle 300 miles to get to the lineup. Like, and you know that's a ridiculous example. But we done it at Putts. We done it at Putts. You went out on the rip at the wall, and I went straight out the middle. I was out well before you. And you were on a 300-foot log.
That's bollocks. You know, we went to go out and it was heaving.
No. When we went to the set, when we went down further towards the seawall, the rock face, you went right out by the rip, and I went straight up the middle. You were on that.
I think
you were on the evil fish.
Delusional. I think you're slightly delusional about the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I've been surf skating pump tracks and stuff like that recently because that's been great fun. Yeah, went to Braunton pump track. That was good fun, and that's a really fun pump track actually. Braunton. It's like from the middle bit, it goes out in like 4 different directions, like a sort of like a cross, but like a 4-leaf clover sort of shape. Like if you can imagine that, with a centre bit where you can go to. That was really cool. And then went to another pump track and another skate park, and been doing bits and pieces. Nice. And now I've got a job on at work that's going to last me for about the next 8 weeks. I'm not going to see anybody or anything, so it's brilliant. I was making the most of it.
Speaking of which, I think the listeners know you're a painter and decorator. I'm sure they know that, and I'm sure you've spoken about my questions to you about painting and decorating, because I hate painting, even though I'm really good at it. So Pete gave me this advice about, this is an army thing, right? Look after your equipment, it looks after you. So normally, if I'm painting, I will wash the brushes, like I'll hose them down, get all the paint out of them. No.
I need to tell my side after you tell your nonsense side, which is coming.
So I will always look after the equipment, right? So I'll wash the paint roller out, like run it for ages, get all the paint out of it, so I can use it again rather than just buying a new one every time. Pete said to me, because I think he might have saw me washing one time, just leave it wet and put it in a plastic bag, and it'll just stay wet. So I painted my bathroom about a year ago, and done exactly that. I thought I'd try this theory out, put the paint roller in and it was properly airtight. Like I made sure it's properly airtight. So went to get the roller out last week, the week before, when I was painting my own bedroom for Valentine's, and mate, it was bone dry. The paint roller was bone dry, right? Wasn't even that long. It was only one. Right. It was in there for one.
Yeah.
Here.
All right. So, right, 3 parts on that. First part, why the hell are you painting your bedroom with the same paint you're painting your bathroom? You need to use different paints for that. Secondly, you were supposed to be repainting with that roller. I'm going to do it next week. And you was like, and you were asking me, and I was like, if you're going to do it that soon, just wrap it, make sure it's airtight, and keep the roller wet, and it'll be fine. Not a year,
Well,
1 year,
1
not
week.
1 week.
1 week, 1 year.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, that's all right.
Anyway, you were
yeah,
wrong.
brilliant.
That's why
You're an
you're always
absolute
ill.
moron.
That's why you always get like toxin poisons from painting. You're telling me you're the expert.
That's you as well, you idiot.
That happened once because you told me to use that. What? I got mildew poisoning because you told me to buy.
No, you got mildew poisoning because you deserved it. You got mildew poisoning because I told you to buy something. You went to B&Q and the bloke in B&Q told you to buy something else and it wasn't any good that I told you to buy apparently. And then you were really sick and you were like, why am I sick? And I was like, well, you didn't listen to me. So that's what you said. Also, it may be something to do with the fact that you also didn't wear a face mask doing it.
Yeah, and literally 2 weeks later, you could have done exactly the same thing yourself.
Yeah, that's pointless.
Anyway,
don't worry about that.
this is the Painter podcast, so
yeah, it's the everything podcast apart from it should just be called Mitch's rants. You should have a little section of just Mitch's rants where you just go on one about stuff.
So in other news,
but yeah, that's pretty much it. We've just waffled on enough at the end of the episode.
In other news, Mr. Adrenaline Athlete Biscuit Tits Bissiker, Alan Bissiker of Adrenaline Athlete, Olympic Strength and Air Conditioning Coach.
Biscuit Tits.
What a sell. I hope he hears that. He is doing a discount again for the Adrenaline Athlete Strong Surf Club training program, which is a home version or a gym version, as probably the older listeners of the show, not the older, the people who have listened longer, will be aware. Both myself and Pete were doing the training program. Pete got lazy, stopped doing it, and I've just had a bit of a year off, so I've kind of been back on it recently. However, he's doing this...
Wait, no. Pete got lazy and stopped doing it, but I've had a year off.
Yeah, that's different. You just got lazy. I chose to have life in the way. Anyway, right. He's doing 60% off an annual membership for Strong Surf Club. So if you were after 60% off annual membership, if you go to the Strong Surf Club or Adrenaline Athlete website and use the discount code UK Surf Show at checkout, you'll get 60% off. And it is genuinely a class program. It really helped me for surf fitness.
That's like better than 50%.
There's definitely more than 50%. Don't know. Wow. I couldn't put a number on it, but it is.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. So yeah, also Surface wetsuits. We've been affiliate with Surface for since near the beginning now, and use the discount code UK Surf Show 24, and that will get you 10% off Surface wetsuits. Cookville Clothing, UK Surf Show 10% off from Cookville Clothing, which Mitch is showing there. And also, which I will show you, Tiki, as we say, sponsored, use UK Surf Pod, and that will get you 10% off everything at Tiki apart from boards. I don't think it works on the stuff that's in their sale, but new items and stuff, just go and have a look. They got loads in there, and pop into their shops, check them out. So thanks to them for sponsoring the Devon edition to the show, and I think we'll be back next time with you and me and you, lots and lots for us to do. Yeah, massive shout to the boys from the Mindful Surfer podcast for having us and putting up with Pete, and go check them out on their Instagram. Yeah. Cheers. Doodles.